Contributor Appreciation with Mrs. Thomas. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is Contributor Appreciation with Mrs. Thomas. This is our weekly show to give you guys a thank you for supporting us and allowing me to... Supporting us. She's a paid staffer at this point. You get $15 an hour, boo.
Paid is a little bit of an exaggeration. I'm a volunteer that gets perks every now and then, I would say.
You get perks, all right. Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
No, you get... She does my videos and stuff like that, and I try to give her $15 an hour for the videos. And she volunteers for the show on top of any intermediary stuff. We have a union.
Actually, I was talking to my mom about this earlier, and she said that I should start a union.
Of one.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Sanders did it. You could do it.
Start a union with one person?
Personally, I think the union thing for YouTube is a good idea. Starting it as one individual, I am less certain of that. But as for YouTube, absolutely. I've been...
A union for YouTube?
Pac-Man did videos showing that they were ending his videos. Now, this channel is a growing channel. And I might get 1,000. If I do 2,000 views, I've done pretty decent. Pac-Man, on a video, he might get 100,000 views. Mm-hmm. And he might get that within the course of 2 days. Well, if you demonetize him initially... That's 100,000 views demonetized.
Yeah.
And then when you finally turn it back on, says, "Oh right, you were talking about cats, so this is okay." Well, at that point, he's lost 100,000 videos.
Yeah.
And he was talking about putting out 6 videos and 4 of them demonetized.
Mm-hmm. So you want to start a union with him?
Not just him. I've been saying this for maybe 4 or 5 months that
YouTube
we should.
Union.
Yes, there should be a union among YouTubers, because think about. You working with YouTube is like you working at Uber. You have no power within that process. They say, well, you're a contractor. And by saying you're a contractor, you can pretend as if that person is not really working for you when everybody knows. You don't
have to give them any perks or benefits or anything like
that.
And
at any point, you can change the rules. At any point, you can kick somebody out. At any point, you can free somebody out of their money if you wanted to. You have all power in that process to do whatever you want. That needs to change. That should not be that way. And fact of the matter is, Pac-Man will continue to get screwed as long as Pac-Man stay with YouTube, because Pac-Man has no power in that process. If he was working within the context of a union where there were 1 million people in that process, then those people have infinitely more power as opposed than just one person. I don't understand why the union thing isn't just kind of, especially from the left. Look, I would imagine that if people are lefties, they're lefties through and through. What I mean by that is, you don't just get on work and be a lefty, you just are what you are. And in the same way, if lefties are kind of a certain way of herding cats, they also tend to be a little bit more rambunctious in a sense of feeling like their rights are being stepped on. It just kind of comes with the territory. The moment that you have a channel that is screaming fire and anger at a process that seems to be grossly unfair out there, oh, the government is this, and the government is that, and this company is fucking us over for this, and this company is fucking them over for that, and the oil company, and the environment. And then you are on the channel yourself, and it's like, it never occurs to you that the same processes that you are screaming about out there are also present here. And your response to this is just to get on your channel and bitch. No! If you want a union makes all the sense of the world.
Somebody gotta start it. You sitting here, you doing the same thing. You sitting here bitching about it, talking about we should have had a union. I've been saying this for months now.
I'm enunciating.
Don't talk about it, be about it, brother.
I am. I'm being about it.
Start the union.
Talking is being.
But you just said they get on their channel and they bitch about it.
But he doesn't even, no. They don't even realize the idea of bringing up a union.
Okay, well,
I'm making the point. Since you're not going to participate in any of this process, I am making the point that me bringing up the union thing is doing something, seeing as none of them have even thought of the fact that the union should be something that should be talked about. And before anybody does anything, it has to be enunciated. I'm not in that, it's like, go out there and do X. Do X with what? Nobody even knows that this is...
So you're going to reach out to Pac-Man and say, hey, man, Let's do this union shit.
Fuck him.
All right, so welcome to Contributor Appreciation. We've got about 70 people here. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button.
In all seriousness, Pac-Man doesn't like me. I did a video calling him Bland Man Pac-Man, and he didn't take kindly to that. He saw the video and he was like, he said something like, "That's fucked up," and then he deleted his comment. So yeah, he doesn't like me. That's what it is, man. You know, you get a show, you start off, and you just start swinging because, you know, you got a show. People.
Okay, so like I said, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button because that helps more people to see that we are live so they can come
be so petty, though.
And hang out with us as well. As Jamal mentioned before, this is the weekly Contributor Appreciation Show. One day, one video out of the week is taken out to specifically give thanks for everyone who contributes to the channel, whether it be through Patreon, PayPal, Streamlabs, Super Chat, all that good stuff. And so we take the suggestions from you all and use those to fuel today's show. And I'm happy to report that we actually got a lot of content this week on Patreon.
Yeah,
so thank you to everybody that took the time out to give topic suggestions. Not all of them, of course, can always be covered. Some of them are actually topic suggestions for the Black Box, and so he's noted those, we've noted those, and those will be something that he'll try to talk about later. So the ones that we have today are actually really good. So,
yeah, some of these are really good.
Also, if you're not a patron and you are here watching, he appreciates that support as well. Share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I now like to tell people what Patreon is because we've heard that people don't know what Patreon is. Yeah. If you're watching YouTube and you say, "Hey, I like this guy. I want to make sure that he can continue to do content," especially if they are doing YouTube full time like Jamal is, then you say, "All right, I'm going to be their patron. I'm going to commit to give them X amount of dollars every month." It could be $1. One of the channels that he watches always says every dollar helps, and it does. So you join Patreon and you commit to giving $1 monthly or whatever your monetary denomination is. And so that is Patreon. It originally started as just patron appreciation, but we changed it to contributor because there are a lot of people who give outside of Patreon through PayPal, like I said before. So thank you. And so that's what we are here to do today, discuss some of the topics that were given to us. Yeah. I feel like there was something else that we were supposed to talk about.
Just kind of ancillary stuff while we're getting started. Book club. So I am thinking about having a book club. And let me know if you guys like this idea. I don't know if that's just reading the book, meaning like reading a section of the book and talking about it, or reading a chapter and then kind of talking about it. Or if that's us like being given a book lesson of sorts and then coming back and talking about it. I'm not sure. I've been reading some really good books. So the one I'm on now is The Battle of Moscow. I can't think of the name who wrote it, but it's really, really good. Like, because it gets into this notion of Stalin and Hitler, these two totalitarian systems where there's absolute control of, in essence. It's really good. The other one is Berlin by Beaver, and the other one is Stalingrad by Beaver. Any of those books could be on the marquee.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Are these...
My audience will be on board for it.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay, calm down.
This is their subject
matter. Calm down. Is it important to note that these could be audiobooks too?
Yeah. I mean, you just need to consume it.
Okay.
I mean, but like I'm saying...
Because I'm like, I haven't seen him read. He does a lot of audiobooks.
I does a lot of audiobooks, yeah.
He does a lot of audiobooks.
Well, I have both. I mean, I have stuff on my phone, but the audiobooks is easier because you can do it over and over and over again.
Papa Naya says, "I love book clubs."
Well, I think it's a good idea. I mean, especially for the subject matter
Comment
stuff.
and let us know. Also, just as a reminder, if you see me looking down, that is because I read the comments while we are streaming live. I try to get the ones that jump out, ones that I think Trudy says, yes, she's into. I try to see the ones that I think that he will want to hear. But, of course, you always have the option to use a super chat to make sure that your comment is read out loud, or you can use Streamlabs. Also, if you get the free $1 super chats, because I get two $1 freebies from YouTube. If you want to use those to get your comment out, you can just give the $1 and then put your comment underneath it, and that way we'll see it. Somebody says books are good.
Books are good. Beaver's book on
our chess club. Oh wait, we do have a super chat.
Go for it.
Balthazar says, when we season the memes of production, he was talking about the unionizing YouTube.
Yeah.
The memes
Yeah.
of production.
Memes of production. Yeah, the book club thing I like. Beaver's book, Stalingrad and Berlin, are fascinating. And the Battle of Moscow, it's funny. My dog was sick last night.
Our dog.
Part of the reason why we're so late today is because I was literally up all night sitting with him, making sure that he didn't die over the course of the night. He got into something, ate something, and was altered and kind of out of it.
We had to make sure he was okay.
Yeah, we had to make sure
sometimes dogs eat, and this one, our dog
eats everything.
He will ingest stuff, and you're like, dude, what did that even seem?
It's like, why did you eat
like it was edible? And so we have to keep an eye on him.
The little dog runs out the house, go out to get the little dog, and come back in. The big dog has gotten into something that he had no business getting into. And after, he's good. He woke up this morning
back to his normal
starving,
greedy self, looking for food. So.
But
But Jamal did have to stay up with him all night.
I stayed up all night. It was a long night.
I had to watch the little one to make sure that he wasn't
bothering the
being
big
a
one.
pain in the ass little brother that he is. So somebody said we're PETA at. Screw you, John Hill.
Before
my babies are loved and well taken care of.
That dog has one of the best lives that you could ever hope for. That other little one just had a birthday.
They have an Instagram. I'll put out if you guys want to see their Instagram. I haven't posted on a long time, but they're freaking adorable. They live in good lives.
Getting to, for the moment, before we get into the main show, oftentimes I point out how MSNBC, from the standpoint of Sanders, is trash. That ultimately, they're not giving him a fair chance. If you remember, Ed Schultz was fired, suspected, because of his support for Sanders. And MSNBC has continued that, considering it's an appendage of the Democratic Party. Take a look at this. Tell me what's wrong with this particular commentary, and see if you can point it out. This is MSNBC.
What she say? I can't hear.
Be lined up against him, and for Cory Booker, this is the first time he's going to be head to head with the vice president.
Well, there's good news and bad news that for Joe Biden, he's the strong front runner. He's not the overwhelming front runner. And in fact, if the progressive vote were to consolidate, you'd have a new front runner, and that's his danger.
That's because Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are dividing it.
That's right, and lucky for him, Sanders will never get out of the races. He didn't against Hillary Clinton, and he'll really screw that up. But
did you hear what he said? He essentially said what I said last week. My political analysis on this is far better than most of the people that I see on mainstream media. I said this like a week ago. I said, if you look at the polling, Joe Biden, if Warren and Sanders combined, Joe Biden would either be losing or it'd be even. But it is ludicrous to believe that Warren should get out the race. I'm sorry, that Sanders should get out the race, considering Warren has always been in third place. Warren has never took the second place throughout the nation. She has literally, the entire race, been either third or fourth place. And he's like, that goddamn Bernie Sanders needs to get out the race.
What the fuck is Cory Booker doing on this?
I have no idea why Cory Booker is even in here. I have no idea.
He's not top anything.
He's not top anything. I don't even know if Cory Booker got like 3% of the vote. Cory Booker may not even get on the debate stage for the third debate.
Why is he up here?
I have no idea. I honestly have no idea why Cory Booker is.
But you're not saying Cory Booker should get out. You're saying Sanders should get out.
He says
that's the commentary.
Sanders has been in number 2 position the entire race. Joe Biden has been a falling rock. Sanders has been filling out stadiums. You don't believe me? Look at this. I
believe you.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. No.
No, we believe you.
I don't want you to believe me. Look at this. That's a stadium that Sanders has just filled out. The guy who they say doesn't get support. And by the way, they say he's anti-woman. 50% of Sanders' support is women. 50% is men. Literally, based on polling, Sanders is in the number 2 strong spot. And in some of the polling, there's a 3-way or 4-way tie for first. The person who's never taken second place, he's saying that Sanders, who's always been in second place, should get out the race for Warren, who's never taken second place. MSNBC. That's MSNBC. Just so you know, the network, MSNBC, ladies and gentlemen. MSNBC is trash. MSNBC is trash. And just for a mini update, because we're not going to do an entire thing on it.
Bernie's on the bus.
Bernie on the bus. Now, why is Bernie Sanders on the bus? Bernie Sanders is on the bus because he's taking people to Canada to show how the drug costs in Canada are so much cheaper than they are in the United States. And he's taking them to buy insulin.
Diabetes, yeah.
Now,
diabetes
meds. I've had to deal with the medical establishment going back for 20-something years. It is a pain in my ass. And oftentimes, what you find is even if you have health insurance, depending on your illness, it helps. But look, if you're my mom and your kid ends up with kidney failure and you're already barely making ends meet, the fact that you have health insurance helps. But if you're going over and over and over and over again, and you're in the hospital over and over and over and over again, and you're racking up bills like $100,000, even if you had Medicare pays 80%, that's 20%. Are you going to be able to pay $20,000?
I just got a bill in the mail for your services.
Yeah.
For a week.
Isn't that astonishing?
It was like $70,000.
That's amazing.
And I have health insurance.
She has health insurance.
We have health insurance.
And by the way, she had to go get a test. They tell her it's going to cost several $1,000s. Now, here's the catch. Most people don't have $500 in the bank, let alone being able to, if they did have $500, to use all of it to pay for a medical bill when most likely they're going to end up with another medical bill. I guess I'm saying, and I've had conversations, I've interviewed people at the cashier, the pharmacists, and they've said it is the sad thing because we have people here who cut their insulin medication in half or who skip it because they can't afford it. Bernie Sanders is trying to make this point clear that drug companies are screwing people over. I'll let Sanders take it away.
Acknowledged that while charging 1/10 of the price in Canada, they're still making a profit. Think about the kind of profits they're making in the United States. Uniquely in the world today, the United States is the only major country that does not sit down with these drug companies and negotiate a reasonable price. So what you were just saying is under oath. One of the companies acknowledged that while charging 1/10 of the price in Canada, they're still making a profit. Think about the kind of profits they're making in the United States. It is scandalous, it is outrageous, and it cannot continue.
Get them burned.
Also, they're doing their jobs. That's also true. Both are true. Now, understand what I mean. This is not a rah-rah for the pharmaceutical companies. It's just both are true.
Capitalism.
Right. Now, when people said it, it's like, oh, dude, why are you saying both? Because both are true. They're doing their jobs.
Capitalism.
Their job is to maximize their profit. Now, our point is, well, wait a minute. You're maximizing your profit at our expense. Well, then that becomes a question of, okay, then what do you do about it? They are going to continue to maximize their profit. They're always going to maximize their profit. It is their job to maximize their profit. And beyond it being their job, they have every incentive in the world to do so. So yeah, they're going to take that insulin medication, and if you're going to allow them in the United States, they're going to increase it 1,000%. Why would they not do that? And your point is, well, what about morality? Did somebody say morality? Did somebody say ethics? What are they talking about? Ethics. This is a profitable enterprise. The goal is to increase your profits, and you're going to increase it to the degree that you think people can bear to take it. Here's the catch. Are you going to go without your insulin? Some people will, but you're going to get that insulin out of the way. And if I increase it 1,000%, you're still going to have to get your hands on it to live.
Well, we're seeing more and more how people are rationing their insulin and dying. I mean, people are dying because of it.
Yeah, but the companies don't really care about that. What they care about is we need a certain amount of people to get this product. And we need to figure out how much we can maximize our profit on it. And if there's a segment of the population that dies because of it, that doesn't really matter as much if our profit continues to go up. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
It has nothing to do with whether people live or die. It doesn't even really have to do with providing a medication. It has to do with making a profit. The providing the medication is secondary to the profit, if that makes sense. So in this case, yeah, they're going to increase the profit to as much as possible because the public itself hasn't come out and says, stop.
Can I add something?
Of course.
So when I saw this story. I didn't know that he was making a trip. When I originally saw the story, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, but apparently they were saying that it was like the 10-year anniversary. In 2009, he did this, where he took a bunch of women who were receiving tamoxifen. It's a chemotherapy drug. He took them to, it's a breast cancer drug. He took them to
Canada.
To Canada. She said, I watched it because it was a woman who went 10 years ago in 2009 with Bernie. Or it might have been 1999. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But she was talking about how, she got on the bus. They drove. She saw a doctor. The doctor gave him a prescription. They left the doctor's office and they went and they paid a tenth of what they pay in the United States. So $30 for a $300 medicine, for instance. So,
and for myself, when we were traveling, I mean, when I sprained my arm, I had to get meds in various countries. Didn't compare. Like, I had to get meds in Israel, like pharmaceutical meds, like meaning go to a doctor to get a prescription, everything else. And I was like, oh God, this is gonna hurt. Do you realize the amount I paid for the drugs in Israel was less than what I paid with insurance in the United States? We're getting hosed.
Did you have to pay for that doctor's visit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was out of pocket. Yeah, that was out of pocket. Sorry. It was a weed doctor in Israel. I needed a pain specialist because I needed pain meds.
But you didn't go knowing that he was a weed
I didn't know he was a weed doctor. Yeah, it was only when I got there where they're like, why are you taking these powerful drugs?
Were they trying to get you to like get some weed prescription?
Yeah, they were trying to get some weed. There was like, instead of using, these pain meds, why don't you try weed? I was like, if you knew how much weed I smoked, you would not be having this conversation with me. If we did it, we would have done it by now. That's not it. So yeah, but dirt cheap. We're getting hosed.
All right, so you want to go into the first one?
Yeah, let's do the first.
All right, so
Wait, are there super chats? You said there were super chats.
There was, but it's related to our topic.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Well, I'll read it out loud and we will address it. Well, we won't address it. It's just a comment. But Jay Scott, thank you for the super chat. Jay Scott says, Nico said he wants to challenge you to a debate on Tulsi's BDS vote.
Nico wants to challenge everybody
only
to a debate.
If you both wear I Love Tulsi thongs and are oiled up. and end it by praying to Tulsi in a blood ritual. So I'm guessing that this is not something that Nico really said. But thank you for that.
That's funny. The thing is, Nico challenges everybody to debates.
I challenge you.
I respect that.
It reminds me of the duels where like people would like take off their gloves and like
slap the other guy
and be like, I challenge you.
Just smack the shit out the other person. HA does that too. Like HA would be like, I challenge you to debate. He challenges everybody to debate. I respect the shit out that. Progressive Voice goes out literally in his mom's basement, barely coming from suckle on his mom's tit. And attacks all these other people.
Man being in his basement. Somebody said our background. Did you guys see the new background? You like it? Richard Wolff was on the show last week. If you haven't seen that, go check it out.
He was the first person.
Really good conversation, but he said Jamarl looked like he might have been in the basement. So don't talk trash about basements.
Difference is I'm a grown man. I pay my own bills.
But you could be in a basement and it would be cool. It's funny because I was looking like when we
we're not in the basement,
and stuff like that. They had
wait. But are we in the basement?
We're not in the basement. I was making comparison to the background and how you were talking trash about somebody that did live in a basement. Yeah. And he might pay the bill for that basement too, by the way.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
I don't believe that.
All right, so
with his allowance.
He got a job. He on YouTube.
That's true, by the way. That is true.
Talking trash about that man can't pay his bills. He got kids and shit to pay for.
He got no kids. He's a child. A child having children. That's a problem.
Babies having babies. All right. So thank you for joining us. Welcome to Contributor Appreciation. We are going to go ahead and get started.
Cenk better claim his kids.
Again, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if
Cenk Uger, claim your kid.
If you are enjoying the content, so that the YouTube algorithm will show more people.
No, seriously,
that we heard. I don't give a.
I think Cenk got a baby and not claiming it.
All right, so we're gonna go to the first
right, so what's the
Topic
first
suggestion for today. This is from David Ramos. David Ramos says, what can Bernie or Tulsi campaign learn from the way Donald Trump ran in 2016? Don't be racist. All right, next topic.
That's not what he could learn from the campaign.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Trump won. What are you talking about? Trump won. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm just saying, like...
But Trump won.
Well, don't be racist. I know, but still don't be racist.
But he won. Yeah, I guess my point is, what's the goal? The larger objective is to get elected.
Babe,
everything
else
is
joking.
subordinate.
Calm down.
I'm making a point that don't be racist is not necessarily a political policy. That's an identitarian policy, and that doesn't work because Trump is president of the United States.
Do you realize it was a joke? It was a... It didn't sound like a joke. It didn't sound like a joke. I literally said, don't be racist. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, but that didn't work.
That didn't seem like a joke. You thought it was 100% full on serious that was going to be the answer.
Because Trump is racist. I mean, that's what I'm making the point is like...
Okay, well, answer it.
Saying don't be racist is not a policy position.
Address the topic, please.
Look, it goes a few points. The Democratic Party is not the Republican Party. The limits that Trump had are not the same as Sanders and Tulsi, but audaciousness is something he can definitely get from Trump. Because, oftentimes they say, oh, you can't get away with that. You can't get away with that. Trump won.
People, I think the big thing about Trump, this is my 2 cents or less than 2 cents, but he was different and he was not just the average kind of politician. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want, or people don't want, clearly just another politician that's going to come and, be a fucking robot.
They don't want someone
that they can relate to on whatever level, but just like,
I think they wanted something that would hack down the system because they hated the way the system was. And when you had an establishment politician running against a guy who was a reality show host who wasn't, in an election season where the establishment wasn't necessarily the most prized possession. I mean, they put Hillary Clinton, and it was like the worst election Clinton could have ever ran in, and they put her up, and she lost. Look, Trump went after the Republican order in as much as he did the established order, meaning what goes for typical politics, he went after it full bore. The racist stuff, they didn't care about. I mean, the identity stuff, they did not care about as much. I don't want Sanders and Tulsi to go and be racist, so don't get that thing. But a focus on economics seems to be a big deal. Like, less about identity. Like, identity seems to be less the thing that people care about. And for obvious reasons. The public is divided. I mean, 13% is black, about 15% is Hispanic, 60, give or take, is white.
I want someone shouting from the rooftops about how different they're going to be than everything that we've seen before. That's what Trump did in 2016. I mean, he was the complete opposite of anything that we'd ever seen before until people were like, well, maybe this change will be good because we obviously need a change.
The problem is Sanders has to get through a Democratic primary. Once he gets through the primary, I agree with you. But getting through the primary in a Democratic primary is not easy because it's identity politics. Like, it's like, listen to the way they're talking about Warren and Harris. They're propping up Warren. MSNBC is doing that. They're propping up Warren. They're even trying to offer you a little bit of Harris. Why do you think they had Cory Booker standing there? It wasn't because Cory Booker was valuable. Nobody cared about Cory Booker. Cory Booker like 1%. He barely make it to the third debate. Kamala Harris
is that good establishment Democrat.
She didn't even consider herself black. And yet, now, she's all of a sudden black. And black people are like, ooh, we got to vote for Kamala Harris. She's what? She was what? She didn't even consider herself one of you. Like, this identity politics stuff, man.
It's trash.
Look, there's a subjective barrier. Don't get me wrong. I don't want the guy coming out screaming, vile, offensive stuff. By the same token, I don't necessarily want a person running the campaign that's ensconced in that, because the issues that often covers up real issues, like issues of economics, issues that affect each of us across the board, whether you're white, black, gay, straight, Hispanic. Like, there's some things, particularly in the economic space, that affects us all. My ability to pay my bill, my ability to be able to get a job that pays well, my ability to create a business for that matter. My ability to be able to take care of my mom or myself when I get sick. My ability when I get older to be able to live a decent life without necessarily being, working for until you're 90. Those things matter, but those things are acts of policy. And if you're screaming to the heavens about your race, that's never going to touch it. In fact, I would argue the race stuff is a way of not talking about the other stuff.
Yeah.
Voting for Kamala Harris doesn't get you there. Voting for Elizabeth Warren, at the very least, she talks about policy, but I don't think she's necessarily going to win against Trump. But they're propping them up. Part of the reason they don't like Sanders, in an odd way, I think it's because he's white and he's old.
And he's a dude, according to that lady.
And he's a man.
Who was on
Yeah.
TV, and she's
It's so bizarre.
he doesn't have a penis. I mean, he doesn't have a
He
vagina.
doesn't have a vagina.
So I can't relate to him.
He doesn't have a vagina.
He makes my skin crawl.
I can't be certain, but he doesn't have a vagina.
All right, so really quick before we go,
I guess my point is audaciousness is not something that people are going to hate you for. The political class would dislike you for it. The public itself will not. When Tulsi Gabbard comes out and attacks Kamala Harris, why do you think she's doing that? She's doing that to draw fire.
Some black vote.
She needs attention. She needs attention. That's what it is. When she's out there in Puerto Rico, she needs attention. When she's suing Google for $50 million, she needs attention.
Someone asked about that too, but that's because she needs attention.
She needs attention. She's a politician. She's trying to get to the third debate stage. I don't blame her. Look, your job, and for the people who support you and say, okay, I'm going to give you money because I want you, I want your opinion and everything else. You are to do any and everything at your disposal to stay in that race and to prosper. It is your job. When Elizabeth Warren is like, yes, reparations, here, me. And it's like, you're for reparations for the American descendants of slaves? I didn't say that. I just said I was for reparations. Like, what?
We're not going to talk about specifics.
We're not going to be
know
specific.
That I'm for reparations.
Just know I'm for it. Then how are you for it if it's not specific?
Take my word for it.
Just take my word for it. Or she raised her hand. She was raising her hand on everything. If you brought up anything, she raised her hand for it. Medicare for all. Right here. And then she would backstep it. I'm not going to take any corporate money.
The specifics don't matter, but overall,
I'm not going to take corporate money. And then it's like, I'm not
right now. Later.
Like, look, their job is to get from point A to point B. And what they know is if they can get through the primary, you will forgive them for their lies because they're going against Donald Trump. Now, my argument is you should not forgive them for their lies. If they say something in the primary, you should hold them accountable for it. And even if it's against the devil himself. Because otherwise, the candidates you're going to get are going to continuously lie to you. And I'm saying lying to you is not a minor faux pas. It gets us the world to which we have.
All right, real quick on this topic. Joel Sass, we've got another super chat, but I'll go back to that one. Joel Sass, because it's on this topic. Thank you, Joel. He says, things to learn from the last election. Populist rhetoric works.
Yes.
Further, racism could be considered a populist gesture, assuming that the black vote will never go to a Republican.
Yes, that too. Like, you can get away with this. Honestly, I think they think that Trump has overplayed his hand. That when he's attacking, like, Ilhan Omar and all these other people, like Lewis recently, we're going to talk about that one, where he's attacking him saying, Baltimore is full of rats and all this other stuff. I think they think, oh my God, Trump is going too far in the racist stuff. I don't think he is. Don't get me wrong, I don't like it. I think it's racist, so don't misunderstand me. And I'm saying that there's a subjectivity in considering something racist versus not, and so whites would be less inclined to call something racist. So fair enough, it's subjective. But you have a large share of the population that's white. And I think they will give him the benefit of the doubt on some of this stuff because they themselves don't want to get put into the same box. Like, I've had people on the channel that there's been stuff where people on the channel would be like, I don't know if that's so-and-so. And to me, it's the clearest thing in the world. Especially when he goes further into his commentary. And it's like, why didn't you think that was racist? Even just from the bit that I played you. Like, when you play it longer, it's like, okay, fair enough. That's dangerous. And my thing is, I don't care if you call it racist or not, because I assume Trump was racist. It's dangerous in some respects. Especially when his direct attacks for Ilhan. Now, him hitting Lewis is a grown-ass man. Lewis can take care of himself. Lewis has been doing this for 50, 60 years.
We'll talk about that. We're going to show the clip and all that stuff later.
Ilhan is different. I feel that one is different.
Okay. On this one, John Hill, thank you, John Hill. He says, lesson from the last election, it's all rigged.
Well, that's another interesting point. Trump didn't mind calling out when he thought it was rigged. Like, if you remember, before the election was even over, Trump was like, it's rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged. Now, he was doing that because he assumed he was going to lose and he didn't want to look bad after he lost. He was like, oh, it was rigged, it was rigged. Trump would have won that. Look at my crowds. You know, it was that. But then he wins and was like,
oh shit. Well,
yeah.
It was all fair.
It was all good. And then Melania Trump was crying. And then the Democratic Party is now, it's rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged. The catch is, when he was so terrified of screaming that they were cheating him, be less so. Be less so. Your supporters will back you. The Democratic Party will bitch at you, but they don't want you to win anyway. And fact of the matter is that party was cheating you. So, you know, there's that.
Dataless Stream, he says, are U.S. voters anti-intellectual?
Sometimes. It depends on the voter. Like, honestly, it really does depend on the voter. The left tends to be less so because the left tends to be... it's harder to be on the left than the right and do this job. The right wing, you can get away with a lot of shit that you don't have to fully analyze. Like, snapshot answers can work. And even in mainstream media, like established media, the surface answer works. So you could say, well, yeah, Assad bombed him. And that's it. That's all you need. You run from there. Because everybody would take it as shorthand as, yes, Assad did this, ergo, we can just run from there in shorthand. That New York Times reporter who gets on and starts slamming Tulsi, and she's like, she's an Assad apologist, right? And Joe Rogan says, why do you say that? And she's like, because and she didn't know, and they had to literally
I heard that somewhere, and so I'm parroting it.
I'm parroting it. That woman is a journalist, meaning she writes stuff for other people to consume, and she's saying stuff that she can't back up. It depends. There's some people who are. And sometimes the anti-intellectual thing goes more towards the American perspective. Like, it's the American perspective, so that's as far as I need to go. I don't need to delve further into other perspectives that may take hold in this particular situation. Like, I gave an example. When Bolton, or when sometimes they come out and they say, Bernie Sanders is not apologizing for the Iraq war vote. Why the fuck would Bernie Sanders apologize for the Iraq war vote? And if you get him on, CNN may try to rip him over the coals for something that was an outright, complete disaster, even by American troops' standpoint. Like, it's that stuff. Yeah. So it just depends on who you're talking to and the section of the political class that they belong to. Look, even Democrats, like when they talk about the Russia stuff, and it's like, Russia did it. And it's like, what do you mean Russia did it? I had a conversation with a guy. I've talked to this guy for months on it. The guy is a tech. And
the guy's a what?
He's a tech. He's a nurse tech.
Oh, okay.
And him and I would talk about the Trump-Russia stuff all the time, constantly. And then one day he says, Trump and the Russians are going to get together and rig it again like they rigged it last time. And my mouth hit the floor like, what? He says, we're never going to have another fair election again. And I said, you realize that the Republicans had more of a hand in cheating Clinton than the Russians ever could. Like interstate cross-check and those things shaved off elements of the vote in areas that she needed by the amounts that she needed. Yeah. Then why are you telling me about the Russians? It's like, and you also, Mueller said that they weren't connected. Well, Mueller didn't say that. I didn't say he exonerated him. I said they didn't find a connection between those two things. So what are you using to make this connection? He doesn't have anything. Somewhere. I mean, it's just, he's been hearing it. He hates Trump, so that's enough. Yeah. I hate Trump too, but I hate him for real things.
All right. Real quick, super chats pertaining to this conversation. Well, not pertaining, but I don't want to miss this one. Hassam Ali, thank you for the super chat. Oh crap. Sorry, my phone jumps around for these. Hassam Ali, thank you for the super chat. He says, shout out to Aisha Thomas. Thank you. He says, new hat last week. I guess all the haberdashers haven't gone. It's funny. I just said before the show, I found somewhere that sells a hat that might fit my big ass head.
That's funny.
Is it too much for me to wear a hat like Jamal's? What do you guys think?
It's right here. Here you go.
We'll be twinning. All right, and then pertaining to this conversation, before we move on, we had another super chat from Trudy. Thank you, Trudy. Trudy says, Dems rig primaries, Republicans rig the general.
That's always interesting, Greg, right? Palast. That's always fascinating to me. Like, and honestly, Trudy, this is the reason why I had no sympathy for them at the end.
For the Dems.
For the Democrats. I had zero sympathy. Like, I am one of those people that for the longest time just assume Republicans are the ones that rig elections. That was because from, just as being a Democrat for my entire life, and you could see where Republicans would cheat and fuck around on the edges. And then the Sanders election. And like you could see in real time, oh, they're fucking him over. And then it's like, and then the documents come out showing they were cheating him. And the Democratic Party screams to high heavens that the Russians were cheating them. And as a Sanders supporter who, is like, the Russians cheated you by revealing that you were cheating Sanders? And I'm supposed to cry a river for you over this? Oh, kick fucking rocks. Kick rocks. Kick rocks. Cry me a river.
You're supposed to say kick rocks with no shoes on.
No, just cry me a river.
Oh, okay.
Cry me a river.
All right, before we go on to Rob R., thank you. He says, Warren said she didn't endorse Bernie in 2016 for VP. She thinks it would be a good career move. Her political instinct is shit and got nothing in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. The wild part, TYT had Warren on. And TYT is pushing Warren, by the way. That's their horse. And you can tell they're pushing Warren just by the way, the softball way in which they talk about her and not be honest about the fact that she's going to take money after the fact. They're being grossly dishonest. Cenk Uygur is lying to his audience massively on Twitter because he's like, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are the only ones that are not. And I say, what are you talking about? This is a lie. This is a lie. You're lying. He's scratching.
The dog's laying up against
scratching
the door and he's scratching. It sounds like they're trying to bust in.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. So
we had a couple of comments from the patrons this week regarding BDS movement and everything that's been going on for the last week.
Yes.
So first, we had one from, and excuse me before I say this because I may or may not butcher this gentleman's name, but John Papantanakis, he says, please discuss the BDS movement. I've seen some not so good stuff from some of your fellow YouTubers. I guess a good number of people, including Bernie Sanders, think that BDS is a threat to the existence of Israel. Jazzy Jada said, can you please comment on Tulsi's explanation of her vote on the anti-BDS resolution? So we need to talk BDS today.
Yeah, let's talk BDS. Also, this is Kills for a Living. I blame her. She's trash and now doing more gimmicks to gain attention. Weak gimmicks at that. Just come out to say Willie Brown's mistress slept her way to the top. That will get people talking. But now she plays it safe and sues Google. FOH.
Fuck out of here, Tulsi.
Fuck out of here, Tulsi trash. Oh yeah, he thinks she's trash. I don't necessarily I don't think she's trash. In fact, I won her on that debate stage. So, Jamal, check Fairtube. It's a union that has been created for YouTube creators, and it's located in Europe. Interesting.
Vice. It looks like Vice did an article on it called "YouTubers Union is not messing around."
Excellent. Thank you, Kalita. Shout out to Kalita. All right, good to know. All right, so BDS. What is BDS?
What does BDS stand for? Boycott, divestment, sanctions.
So BDS is boycott, divestment, sanctions. Now, this is a movement that was started, if I'm not mistaken, in 2005 to do what they say, boycott, divest, and sanction Israel for its brutal occupation of the Palestinian territories. Israel recently, a few days ago, knocked down housing for hundreds of families, saying it was too close to a wall, a legal wall that they put up, mind you. And now you have people who were dirt poor who are now homeless and dirt poor. Look, BDS is not anti-Semitic. It's not anything. It's boycott, divestment, and sanctions. The goal of it is to get Israel to stop occupying those territories. Now, you may say, what is the lengths that BDS goes? Meaning, what do they want to see as an end result for the world, per se? So, I bought their site. If you're going to know what it is, just go to the site. Let them tell you themselves. But beyond that point, just as a secondary thing, it's a nonviolent protest. It tries to get people to not buy things from businesses or from companies in Israel that deal with the occupation. The goal of it is to put pressure on Israel to stop the occupation. That is the entire point. That is the entire goal. Israel, whatever you want to think of it, is a colonial settler nation, essentially of white Europeans that were atheistic, that were looking for places to settle down. And after the Second World War, it got kicked high gear because of what took place in regards to the Holocaust. Look, I don't take issue with the fact that Israel exists. That was not so much my issue. My issue is the occupation itself. And it's that the United States works with Israel in order to prevent any notion of any sort of a fair deal for it to take place. The resolution that they pass is Orwellian. And the notion that people are defending her for this, saying, well, dude, it's non-buying and so forth. Should you have the right to protest? Even if you disagree with BS, even if you say, look, I think the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement, I don't like that as a solution to dealing with the Israel thing. Fair enough. That's you saying that, though. That's a different thing than saying, I'm going to protest the very act of Americans protesting this. Is it your First Amendment right to protest? Yes. Then why are you singling out the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement, a nonviolent group, and doing so on the day that Israel has decided to knock down and make hundreds of people homeless? It gets more atrocious on top of atrocious in this case. It's a nonviolent protest group. That's what it is. And it's because it's focused at Israel that they don't like it. When it was aimed at South Africa, the goal was, and BDS wasn't aimed at South Africa, I'm just saying sanctions was the thing, and boycotts were the thing that brought South Africa to come to heel. It came, brought them to the table. The catch here is that the United States shields Israel from any real public outcry. There have been, dozens, I think it was like over 40, nearly 50 UN resolutions condemning Israel's behavior in regards to crimes that they were committing in Palestine. It's utterly atrocious. Not to mention the thousands of people that they killed. They killed hundreds of people last year in the right of return. And many of those people were peaceful protesters. That young girl who was a medic who got shot at the border. But the problem here is not, that. It's not that they're occupying somebody else's territory. It's the peaceful protest against the occupying of the territory. And you're coming to me and now you're trying to explain to me why you sign your name to a vote singling out this organization, a peaceful protest group, as being necessary of condemnation. You don't get, I'm going to go to Tulsi's explanation, but...
All right, we've got some good comments on this.
Okay.
Some super chats. Do you want me to read them before you go on?
Well, let me go for the BS. Let me name what they are first. What are boycotts? Boycotts involve withdrawing support from Israel's apartheid regime, complicit Israeli supporting cultural and academic institutions from all Israeli and international companies engaged in violation of Palestinians' human rights. Divestment. Campaign urged banks, local councils, church pension funds, and universities withdraw investment from the state of Israel and all Israeli and international companies that sustain Israeli apartheid. Sanctions. Sanctions campaign pressure governments to fulfill their legal obligations to end Israeli apartheid and not aid or assist in maintenance by banning businesses with illegal Israeli settlements, ending military trade and free trade agreements, as well as suspending Israel's membership in an international forum such as the UN bodies and FIFA. And that's probably where they're like, oh, they're trying to hurt Israel. You are militarily occupying somebody else's land. And somebody else was there before you got there. I have to be honest, just because an atrocity was committed to you does not allow you in some kind of cosmic weird way to turn around and commit an atrocity to somebody else. That's a full stop. I have no issue with the existence of Israel.
I feel like you should be less inclined to do so.
But that's like if people who get abused, do they turn around and abuse other people? Yeah. It doesn't make people great when they get abused.
I feel you, but like you were talking about earlier, that's like blacks saying, okay, well, I'm going to own slaves.
I'm going to now own slaves now that we've been slaves. It's like, well, My
and
people
and it's not
had
just
an
like you were
injustice
abused like personally. I mean, you're talking about a whole,
generations ago.
right. Well, I'm talking about a whole people, not just like me as an individual. Like, would you really want to do that to other? I don't know. I just feel like you should be less inclined to do so because it was done to your family, to your.
Not Israel. They've put
ancestors,
people
that
in
kind of
open air
thing.
ghettos, and they've had those people in those ghettos, and they've prevented them from returning to their homes. And they've continued the illegal settlement building, mind you, against even U.S. policy. The U.S. gives these kind of, oh, that's so sad, please don't do that. But don't really do anything about the fact that they're stealing more and more and more land. And look, there's a time limit on this problem. You've put people in an open air ghetto, and you've continued to take more and more land from those people in that open air ghetto. 90% of the water, is undrinkable. And the United States, for the most part, is on the side of Israel, meaning there is no negotiations that is taking place because Israel doesn't need to negotiate.
Right,
it has nuclear weapons. It has the United States. It has international, at the very least, not doing anything about it. So they can continue to steal more and more and more land. The world sits back, wrings their hands. And the Palestinians are pushed further and further into these ghettos. I guess my point is there's no compulsion on Israel to do anything. So the notion that Tulsi Gabbard and some of these other Democrats, Ayanna Pressley, and many of the other Democrats come out and say the problem here is peaceful protests, not the fact that Israel is breaking international law. And I'm going to read parts of this agreement. It's astonishingly Orwellian.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, before we do, because I want to make sure that before you go into this, that you hit the points that people are sharing. So Manny, thank you, Manny. Manny says HR 1837, which passed the same day, would end BDS. Are you familiar with HR 1837? HR 1837. Joel Sass, thank you, Joel. He says Israel is a vassal state, 100% dependent on U.S. patronage. Israel needs to exist as long as the U.S. bases dollar value on the price of oil.
It's a colony. I mean, look, if you were back during, let's say 1840s, and you could get a camera crew to observe what was taking place, I strongly suspect it would look like this. They would create laws. They would try to codify those laws to try to make themselves look as if they were right and that what they were doing was okay. Think of what was taking place in America from the standpoint of the Native Americans. The U.S. would make laws. They would put the Native Americans in reservations. They would grow, and you would have military to kind of get in to have these kind of border clashes and everything else as they kill the Native Americans. It's not that big of a difference. The only difference is we're in modern times and we're looking at it and they're calling themselves Israel, and you have the international support that backs them up. Like if you were like the only difference, it's a colony. It's a colonial settlement. To
add to that, Manny also said HR 1837 is Orwellian, your word of the day. He says HRES 246, which is the one that
we're talking about,
right? Yeah. That we're talking about, points out that 67% of Americans aren't for BDS. Tulsi will sponsor HR Res 469. It says we can still participate in BDS. Somebody else said the problem with Tulsi is that she doesn't believe in sanctions and BDS, and that sanctions are what give BDS teeth.
Okay, but sanctions are what give BDS teeth.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just was making another statement to add to that.
I guess it's wishy-washy. I mean, why would you sign your name on any of it? Does that make sense? It's like, look, this is the bill that I'm talking about right here. Just so you can see what we're referring to. Now, there's a lot in this bill, but there are a few parts that I highlighted. Whereas global boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement targeting Israel is campaigning that does not favor a two-state solution and that seeks to exclude the state of Israel and Israel people from the economic, cultural, and academic life of the rest of the world. I don't think that's true at all. In fact, that's weird, but let's keep going. And just to be clear, Israel is depriving Palestine of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, economic, cultural, academic, like the things that they're saying that they're trying to deprive Israel of, Israel is currently depriving Palestine of, just so we're clear. Whereas global BDS movement promotes principles of collective guilt, mass punishment, and group isolation, which are destructive and prospects for progress towards peace and a two-state solution. Now, I love this one because this is kind of what I get with the Orwellian stuff. Do you realize that Israel promotes collective guilt? That if somebody is a terrorist or something, it is possible that they are going to blow their houses up or punish everybody that is in that particular area. I mean, this is stuff that Nazis used to do. They do collective guilt. So let's just be very clear. And again, we're talking about military occupation of somebody else's territory that is depriving the people who live there of their right of return, not to mention continuing to take more and more land. Israel is afoul of all sorts of violations from the standpoint of the United Nations Human Rights Council. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 50. So let's just be clear what we're talking about. This is Orwellian that she's signing her name to this. And by the way, do you honestly believe that what the United States government has been doing for the past 20, 30 years has been towards peace of a two-state solution? Israel and the United States have been joined at the hip. The United States has been giving Israel billions and billions and billions of dollars. Israel has nuclear weapons at the time where the United States was literally killing 2,000 Palestinians, 80% of which were civilians. The United States was still giving them billions of dollars in weapons. Does that promote a two-state solution or not? Fuck out of here. This document is astonishing. I mean, like, it's Orwellian. And people are trying to, like, oh, but wait, the document is nuanced. The document is nuanced. Whereas boycotts and similar tools aimed at promoting racial justice and social change have been used effectively in the United States, South Africa, and other parts of the world. And whereas contrast to protest movement, they're trying to delineate BDS from other protest movements. And they sought racial justice, social change. BDS movement targeting Israel is not about promoting coexistence, civil rights, and political reconciliation, but about questioning and undermining the very legitimacy of the country and its people. I love how everything is delegitimizing Israel while it delegitimizes Palestine and prevents that country from existing at all. This document is astonishing. I'm sorry, this document is astonishing. It affirms constitutional for free speech, except when that speech is used to criticize Israel. That's astonishing. They signed their name to this. Like, even if you say, I completely believe that Israel should exist. I completely agree that it should exist. I am uncomfortable with passing policies that criticize or that try to undermine the ability of Americans to protest. I'm sorry. That's a problem for me. That's a fail for me. That's a fail for me. I'm sorry. This is Tulsi's excuse. And by the way, this is BDS. BDS response to them voting for this. Palestinians condemn the anti-BDS resolution 246 currently being considered by the U.S. Congress. This resolution is based on lies and aims to demonize peaceful resistance to Israel's military occupation and apartheid. On behalf of the Palestinian-led BDS movement, Omar Baghdadi said this anti-Palestinian resolution would directly undermine the First Amendment of the Constitution. It reinforces other McCarthyite anti-BDS laws which have a chilling effect on free speech, especially speech that is critical of Israel's military occupation and apartheid. Yes, that's exactly what it does. HRS 246 includes outright lies about the peaceful BDS movement, BDS campaigns against institutions and corporations that are directly complicit in violations of Palestinians' human rights. It does not target individuals. The BDS movement targets complicity, not identity, and has zero tolerance policy of racism, sexism, and all forms of discrimination, including anti-Semitism. We applaud HR 496, sponsored by Ilhan, Rashid Tlaib, and John Lewis, for reaffirming the right to boycott as a time-honored, constitutionally protected practice employed to oppose systems of injustice. This is Tulsi's response.
Some of you have sent me messages and posted on social media asking for more information about why I voted the way I did on a recent resolution talking about BDS. So I wanted to give you some background and talk to you about my commitment to defending our First Amendment rights. Nothing is more fundamental to the identity of our country than the rights and freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution. Now, I've fought to defend these freedoms both as a soldier and a congresswoman, and it's why I will continue to oppose unconstitutional legislation like S1, a bill that does seek to restrict freedom of speech by imposing legal penalties against those who participate in the BDS movement. That's why I co-sponsored HRES 496, to affirm our freedom of speech and right to protest or boycott for any cause, as well as stating opposition to any legislative efforts that seek to restrict these fundamental First Amendment rights. Now, I voted for HRES 246 because I support a two-state solution that provides for the rights of both Israel and Palestine to exist and for their people to live in peace with security in their homes. I don't believe BDS is the way to accomplish that. However, I will continue to defend those who choose to exercise their right to free speech without any threat of legal action. Now, HRES 246 does not in any way limit or hinder our First Amendment rights. In fact, it affirms every American's right to exercise free speech for or against U.S. foreign policy, as well as the right of Israeli and Palestinian people to live in safe and sovereign states, free from fear and violence, and with mutual recognition. Now, the right to protest the actions of our government is essential if America is to truly be a free society. So no matter what our disagreements are about various political positions or choices that our government makes, we can all agree that every American should have the freedom to make those disagreements known and to protest peacefully in support of their views.
Just so we're clear, she voted for a bill that apparently has no weight, based on what she's saying, that condemns a nonviolent protest movement. And I'm unclear as to why she voted for this bill. I mean, even if you say, I don't think the BDS movement is a way to get to this, but the BDS movement is just a protest group. You're condemning a protest group, a nonviolent protest group? That's utterly bizarre. Why are you doing that? Even if you argue, you say, I don't think the BDS movement is the way to get there. Okay, that's your opinion. Fair enough. You may not think that. You may completely disagree that boycott, divest, sanctions is the way to go about it. What does that have to do with you voting to condemn the group? That's so bizarre. It's utterly bizarre that you would single this out like this.
All right, let me read, because we've got a lot of comments on this topic. One that popped out for me, people are going back and forth saying, what you're saying, what does it mean?
Yeah.
So Nicole says, it says the government will not participate in BDS, but that citizens have the right still to, protest. Wait, let me finish reading.
Good.
Balthazar 228. Thank you. Balthazar says Israel is the single greatest impediment to Middle Eastern peace.
Yes.
It spreads hateful impressions of Jews and ties them to Judaism.
Yes.
It's creating camps not dissimilar to the ones that Jews faced in World War II.
It's creating ghettos.
He says he is a Jew himself.
Yeah, it's creating ghettos. And by the way, I don't make the Nazi comparison. I might have used a term like innocence of collective guilt. But there is a difference. I don't think they're putting them in death camps in that sense. It wasn't, I don't think the goal of the camps or the ghettos that Jews are creating are exactly the same as the goals of, I don't make those comparisons. I'm saying whether it is or not is kind of besides the point. It is a travesty that's existed for so long. And the only reason that it's existed for so long is because the United States has backed Israel up whole hog. They asked Bernie Sanders recently, would you stop giving Israel money as a condition of them coming to the negotiating table? Because let's be very clear. The thing that they accuse BDS of is literally what the United States does. Right here. It says, whereas in contrast to previous movement, principle collective guilt punishment, nope. Whereas aimed at promoting racial justice collectively in the United States, nope. Right. The campaign does not favor two-state solutions, seek to exclude the state of Israel, people from economic, cultural. Okay, that's what Israel is doing to Palestine. The political movement undermines, right here, BDS is one of several recent political movements that undermine the possibility of a negotiated solution to the Israel-Palestinian conflict by demanding concessions of one party alone and encouraging the Palestinians to reject negotiations in favor of international pressure. Think about what that's saying. The United States has been joined at the hip to Israel for decades. And the sham of a peace process that we're working for a peace process. But everybody knows that for the last decade or more that the United States has been joined at the hip with Israel, and that any peace process would have been at the behest or at the worst end for the Palestinians, because there was no fair arbiter in this peace process. The fact that they're saying that the BDS movement is undermining any notion of a peace process because, it's kind of doing what I argue that the United States is doing for Venezuela. It's like the opposition would never come to the bargaining table. Why would they? You have a superpower working on your side. But this is to believe that the BDS movement has such clout. It's so much clout that the Palestinians don't come to the negotiating table because the BDS movement has so much clout that's nonsense. She signed her name to this. So I'm supposed to look at this document. Tulsi Gabbard says, yes, I'm signing my name to this document as being legit, real, and earnest. This document is nonsense. It is Orwellian in scope. The BDS movement is the organization that's preventing Palestinians from coming to the negotiating table. It's the Palestinians' fault. Israel has nuclear weapons. Israel has these things where they come in and they mow the lawn, killing thousands and thousands of people. But it's the Palestinians that's the problem. They just destroyed hundreds of houses. People who didn't have anywhere to live. Now, if you're coming to me and you say, I think the Palestinians should come to the negotiating table, okay. You can even say, I think Israel should remain, meaning I'm a strong supporter of Israel. But it's a secondary question of whether or not people should be able to protest that. And the answer is, of course, yes. Yeah. And people should have to say, yes, I want to support the BDS movement to stop what I consider and I don't particularly like. Why are you fucking with me in the sense of law? Meaning, why are you even putting this in, even if it just condemns it? Why are you doing that? That, it's just so bizarre. It's so over the top that you're even doing this. It's utterly Orwellian. It's Orwellian.
All right, rest of the super chats on this one while we're still here. Manny says, another to clarify, no presidential candidate supports BDS.
Oh, I don't think they do. But it's a secondary thing of making a vote to go. For example, look at this. I was looking up when I first did this video, Sanders, when this was introduced into the Senate, Sanders said it is absurd that you would pass this. Where is it?
That's the video.
Well, he's not a supporter of BDS, but I'm looking for... Sanders called for a more even-handed approach. He said a one-state solution to the conflict will spell peril for Israel. I support Israel's right to exist. All right, so this is one of those things where it's... If you say, I support a single-state solution, at that point, Israel will say, oh, you're trying to say we're not going to exist. If you say one man, one vote, Israel say it destroys Israel, in which case Israel said they want to exist. So they always say a two-state solution in this case. Look, I just want a solution. I just want them to work this shit out. All right, do you realize I've yet to meet an Israeli that I haven't liked? Has nothing to do with Israel, in a sense. And I know it sounds a little weird, but it's... In my interactions, be it when I was there the first time around, be it the second time around, be it when I was traveling, in my interactions with Israelis, meaning people who are from Israel, not people who are from America that moved there, it has always been good interactions, and they've always been open to have these type of conversations, whether I want to have these conversations or not. My issue is not the existence. My issue is the conflict and what takes place in regard to that existence. Sanders, when he was asked for a vote like this, he said it will be absurd for this to be the first thing that we vote on because Republicans, the first bill in the Republican House was an anti-BDS bill. He said that was absurd to make that vote.
Okay. Dataless Stream says, I'd respect Tulsi more if she said AIPAC is too big for me to tackle while I'm polling at 1%. Joel Sass, thank
Agreed.
you. He says, just to clarify from his last comment, when the petrodollar dies, Israel will follow.
I don't know. I mean, I think his argument is that Israel is entirely dependent on the United States. Israel has nuclear weapons. So I don't know how dependent, like in that sense, like it's like maybe yes, for some certain degree of clout, like Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the United States have created this kind of fulcrum of power in that region of the world. They won't be getting billions of US dollars. I'll tell you that much.
Manny, again, he says, Reg 246 does not impede your right to protest. He says HR 1837 will.
I didn't say this does.
That is the point. A simple resolution does not do anything. A bill can become law.
I didn't say it does. I said it's the protest of the right to protest. My issue here is that she put her name on it in the first place. I mean, these are congressmen saying this is what we, from our perspective of the U.S. government, this is the perspective. Not that it has a force of law per se, more so that they're even putting her name to it in the first place. Why are you attacking a nonviolent protest group against a military occupation? That's basically what it is. And you're attacking the First Amendment to do so. That's my issue. But I'll check up, I'll look up H1, HR
1837. 1837. There's a lot of numbers and bills. Okay, Balthazar 228. Thank you, Balthazar. Balthazar says, I fear all of the candidates are vastly underestimating how bad the situation is and overestimating how much supporting Israel benefits them. And that's a quote from Abby Martin.
That's interesting. And I think they're right.
Well, that's from Abby Martin.
But I think the issue is cash. I don't think the issue is like it's have you ever did you watch the movie The Lobby? The Lobby talks about Israel's influence in I think it was British politics, but there's one for America also. But there's a segment of it where they have a hidden camera where he's talking to one of the lobbyists, and he says, "Look, we can get money to you. It's not legal for me to put money in your pocket, but what I can do is point you in the direction of people who will put a lot of money in your pocket." Now, when Ilhan Omar made that point, they were like, "Oh!" It had nothing to do with them being Jews. It had everything to do with it being a lobby. There's a difference.
Joe Snake says, Tulsi has the best voting record. This is a resolution, nothing to the BDS or free speech. It's not a bill, just a resolution.
Didn't say it was a bill.
1837 is a bill.
But beyond that point, wait.
Day.
Whether it's a bill or a resolution, why does that matter? Like, she's signing her name to either a bill or resolution, whatever you want to call it, but I'm just making the point that you are protesting free speech. I mean, that's basically what it's a protest of the First Amendment. It doesn't have to have force of law to me. I don't really care. I mean, the fact that the protest exists in and of itself can be a testing of the waters, as far as I'm concerned. How many people are going to be upset about it? How many of this will pass it? Because at some point, that testing of the waters is not just the testing of the waters. It's actually trying to pass policy. The response to this should be aggressive, to say the least.
Manny says HR Res 246 is a simple resolution,
all right, so right
not
here.
a bill. So I think you just commented on that one.
HR 13, okay, right here. So this is to make improvements in certain defense and security assistance provisions and authorize assistance for Israel and other purposes.
Now, what's S1? Because Manny's saying S1 was a bill, not a resolution. And that's the one in the video that Tulsi says, I support S1.
Well, no, she said she was against S1.
She's against S1.
Yeah, she says she didn't sign S1 because that would have been against protest rights or something like that. She's trying to make nuance. All right, I'll check this one out.
All right, so you're going to look a little bit more into the other resolutions, bills that were introduced and or passed.
All right, and this one is
any
Streamlabs
before we move on?
Yeah, this bothered me, to say the least, because that's a fail. Kills for a living. Tulsi is against free speech, and you want to see her on the debate stage. Oh, the irony. I don't think she's against free speech. I think she's a political actor, and she's taken certain actions for political reasons. She can try to defend this one, saying, oh, that's just a resolution, it's not that big of a deal, I'm defensive of Israel, etc., etc., etc. Ilhan Omar and AOC had the right response to this. They trashed this resolution.
Read the rest of his comment.
The vote alone disqualifies, yet You always shielding her. Her explanation was trash. I was sick of Tulsi's stands licking her. Oh, that's nasty. Look, I don't know what you're talking about. Like this tweet or this is so out of bounds of reality. I am literally being critical of Tulsi Gabbard on this. And I've, on more than one occasion, explained to you why I want to see her on the debate stage. I have very specific reasons for wanting to see her on the debate stage. It has nothing to do with her winning. Whether she's against free speech or not, I think she's a political actor. She took political actions in this particular thing for something that I found utterly distasteful, considering what was taking place in Israel at the time they were making this vote. So, just saying. Thank you for the dollar, though.
All right. So we are going to go on to the next comment or topic suggestion from contributors. We are, just a quick spiel, we are at about 220 people here on the stream. So thank you all for joining us. Don't forget, if you are enjoying the conversation and the content, hit the thumbs up button so that the YouTube algorithm magical thing lets more people know that we are live. A lot of people said in the beginning that they did not get the notification.
Yeah.
If you do that, I believe that more people will see the stream. It'll pop up for them. If you're unaware, this is the weekly contributor appreciation show. Once a week, we take the time out, or Jamal takes the time out, to show appreciation for everyone that does everything for the channel, whether you're supporting through Patreon, Streamlabs, Super Chat, or PayPal, whether you are watching it, sharing it, tell your mama, tell your friends, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so don't forget each week to share your topic suggestions with Jamal, because this is a great conversation that's coming from the topic that was suggested. Now, I think this is Daedalus.
They are going at it. They're having a really good conversation.
Yeah, this is a good conversation.
Well, I mean, look, I don't give cover or credence from this argument of it's just a resolution. Because, if it's just a resolution, why are you voting for it anyway? Like, if it's because you knew it was going to be disastrous, because you knew that the way it was going to be called is an anti-BDS bill, which ultimately gets called an anti-First Amendment bill. And if it had no power, it had no matter, it didn't mean anything, then you shouldn't put your name on it. I'm sorry, you don't get a cover for me on this.
Black FA 508, thank you for the super chat. Elephants on Coke, we'll take a look at that. He says he sent something on Patreon for you to talk about, a tweet from Kamala Harris, so we'll take a look at that one.
We'll do.
Daedalus Stream, I think this is the gentleman whose name I tried to pronounce earlier. He said I did pronounce it correctly, so I will try to do so again. But for this week's topic, he had another good one where John Papantanakis, he says, I'm a Marxist, and you, Jamal, are a chess master. So let's evaluate campaigns for their strategic impact rather than their platforms, which probably won't get realized anyways. Bernie is great insofar as he's building a popular movement for universal health care. With enough work and momentum, this could grow into a real revolution years down the road. But I think Tulsi's campaign is a bigger and more pressing threat to the Washington establishment, in that it draws the connection between imperial overreach and domestic collapse. Furthermore, it invites overreaction from the elites because she has identified the weakest link in the hegemonic chain of the U.S. empire, this being the president's role as commander-in-chief. The same mechanism that makes it easy to coordinate endless interventions could also be used to roll back the war machine, which currently backs the U.S. dollar as global fiat currency.
So, yes and no. I mean, look, whether she's a threat or not, it's kind of, it's true if she gets elected, but you got to get elected. Like, you need popular support in order to be a threat. A guy in a room can think some pretty dangerous things. He needs a certain degree of popular support in order to put those quote-unquote dangerous things into effect. We can look at people for their strategic effect. That's true, but the strategic effect is always within the context of whether it can be enacted. If a pawn is sitting in a corner, it can be pretty dangerous if a queen is nearby. If there's no queen nearby, it doesn't really matter. It's just sitting in a corner. If something can't be attacked, it's not really under attack. I guess my point is this. Whether Tulsi Gabbard has a better strategic thing from the standpoint of this kind of war machine and unraveling the war machine and what that means from the standpoint of the United States and even from the standpoint of domestic policy, she makes a really good point. There is no... Like when Elizabeth Warren talks about domestic policy and all this other stuff, Tulsi Gabbard just makes the basic point of, unless you are talking about not paying $1 trillion a year for the military, your domestic stuff is not really going to go anywhere. Yeah. I mean, this is the Martin Luther King's argument, where he's like, what the Great Society hit its head on the shores of Vietnam or something like that, just making this basic argument that if you were, these guys just signed on to a $1.3 trillion, is that right? $1.3 trillion military budget. Just the military budget, not the entire budget, just the military budget. AOC, all these guys signed on to it, if I'm not mistaken. If you're paying that much, how are you paying for other stuff? Like, how do you $1.48 trillion defense budget? $1.48 trillion defense budget. Healthcare is so expensive. Making sure our kids can go to school without having $40,000, $50,000 in debt. Oh, it's so painfully expensive. And then Republicans tell me, oh, the debt, we care so much about the debt. Do you realize that the debt has been exploding under Trump just like it exploded under Bush? And the next Democrat that takes office, oh, we got to deal with the debt. We got to deal with the debt. We got to deal with the debt. That is like $24 trillion. We are able to do this because we're fiat currency. It's not connected to gold. It's not connected to anything. And when they became untethered, at that point, you could essentially spend trillions of dollars like this. And the rest of the world, seeing as you're the reserve currency, essentially props you up. Isn't it amazing? It has certain values. When Britain had the reserve currency of the pound, Britain could do that. Britain could do the same thing. They could have empires and all that. Empire rolled up the moment they stopped. All right. All right. I guess my point is, yes and no. Just having a good strategic potential is not the same thing as being able to enact that strategic potential. And Tulsi Gabbard going with the anti-military thing, or the military angle, is saying that she's a soldier and all this other stuff. Look, I gotta be honest, she's becoming more and more of a political actor to me. And I know people don't necessarily like hearing that, but consider what we've seen. Tulsi Gabbard, there is a protest right now that is taking place in Hawaii. Tulsi Gabbard jumped to fucking Puerto Rico. What connection does Tulsi have to Puerto Rico? The connection was there are a lot of people who are watching this and I want to get elected, and so I want people to see me in Puerto Rico. That just looks overtly political to me when it seems like the most natural thing in the world is be at the protest at the mountain where you are literally living by.
Yeah.
That looks so weird. Like Ricky Martin, I understand why Ricky Martin is in Puerto Rico. I understand why AOC is talking about Puerto Rico. I get that. There's an overt reason why. Why is Tulsi? What connection does Tulsi have to Puerto Rico? Now,
it's a hot topic. Now,
she was in Sandy Rock. So there's that. So I can't necessarily say it's entirely thing, but this is in a political election, so also, the attacking Kamala Harris just sounds funny to me. Saying Kamala Harris is not ready to be commander-in-chief. Look, I'm not against any of this because, again, I've made this argument before. These guys are running in a political race, and their job is to win. Carte blanche. So don't misunderstand me, but her brand was apolitical, and a lot of stuff just comes across as being overtly political.
Pop Reality, thank you. He says Bernie needs to call out media corporate.
He does. He does.
Media corporate bias.
He does. Like believe it or not, there was a report in The Hill where Sanders was saying the media is not giving me a fair shake, but they give him a fair shake in kind of sleazy ways. It's like you have Sanders on and you ask them a bunch of horrible questions, and then you say, "Hey, tell us something about your opponent, Elizabeth Warren, that you like," and end it on that.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Yeah. You want to say fuck off, but you can't say fuck off.
And a lot of times they ask him questions. He was somewhere, and I remember someone saying, or he was the only one that was asked about reparations.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
or are you going to support your candidates if they, if you lose and when you get out the race? And he's like, are you asking anybody else this?
Yeah.
Like you get indignant, but you can only get so indignant.
Give me a fucking fair shake.
Yeah, give me a fair shake. And I just showed you what MSNBC did, where they're like, Elizabeth Warren has never been in a 2 spot in this race, and there are times she was in number 4 spot.
Wow,
and they're like,
showing
Sanders needs to get out this race.
Cory Booker in the background.
Yeah. Like MSNBC, they're not going to give him a fair shake.
All right, another super chat. Thank you.
The question is, how do you do that? How do you call out corporate media like that? Like, how do you do it without looking bad?
Okay, so I saw this a couple of weeks ago where I can't remember her name.
Marianne Ann Williamson.
I was gonna say Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson, but she's the one that's gonna beat Trump
Spiritual
with love.
Power of
But
love.
she was on the talk show, and they were hitting her, and they were talking about, "Aren't you anti-vax?"
Oh wow.
And she had to respond. She had to defend herself, and she said right then and there, she was like, "Why are you guys attacking me?"
Yeah, right.
Like she was like, "What the hell, man?"
Like she's shocked by it. She's like, "Oh wait, this is how media is." Like
she was
because
like,
she's not a
"Why are you
politician, so
guys
she doesn't
attacking
fully
me?"
get the way they frame
They were
it.
like, "We've always been good to you."
Well, in her mind, I think she's like, well, when she was talking to Ruben, and Ruben said something like, "Well, these guys just want open borders," and she's like, "Who said that?" Well, nobody said it's what they think. Why do you think that? She's like, "That's not an honest broker."
Yeah.
Like in her mind, this should be a fair process. And so for her, like she's like, why are you framing it in this way? I don't understand. Because you are running in a political campaign and they're trying to hurt and ding you.
Right.
And they're a corporate media who's, look,
They have
whether you know this by now,
preferences.
it's not even their
their
biases.
in-game.
It's, you know how when they put at the bottom, they would say this is paid for by the Russian government. They should say this is paid for by some kind of corporate engagement.
I like the DNC.
My job in this, when I'm having a conversation with you, if you're Marianne Williamson, I need to find something that's interesting to my audience. Otherwise, my audience doesn't watch. Which means instead of finding something that's informative to them, I need to find something that draws attention.
Right.
You're an anti-vaxxer, right? It's like, what?
I need to get a response.
I need to get a response. I need to be able to write the heading, anti-vaxxer runs for president. I need that because that makes me money. If you have a decent conversation with me about something that's legit, less so. When they can put that thing, says Bernie Sanders says corporate executives kill people. Oh, well, you know, that's a headline that they can run with.
Yeah.
So I like her. I like her.
Okay. Jared Newhouse, thank you for the super chat. He says, "I love you guys. You're such a sweet couple."
Aw, thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, Jared.
Next super chat, while we were still on the Tulsi topic, Majin Bull says she talked about the protests in Hawaii, Jamal.
Oh, okay.
She did
Fair
talk
enough.
about the mountain.
Fair enough. I was talking about more so that she went to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
That's all.
And when we did the contributor appreciation show last week, someone brought that up specifically. So you had to talk about that.
And I gave her the heads up that she did go to Standing Rock. Like I didn't ding her. I mean, I made. Well, no, I was making the point that she went to Standing Rock, so it's not completely overtly political. It's a presidential election, and it's a person who's running for president. They're trying to get on the debate stage for the third time. They're trying to get a certain amount of donations and support. And you have a protest that is blowing up in Puerto Rico. What do? You go to the one in Hawaii or Puerto Rico. Your campaign is going to say you better take your ass to Puerto Rico.
I'm going to go to the one that's getting the most press.
Yes. And that's not that's not
a ding.
A ding.
Like we said last week. Check
That's
that video. Steph, thank you for the super chat. She says, "I always appreciate your raw, informed perspectives."
Oh, thank you.
Balthazar 228.
That's going to get more raw in this video.
This is
the next one coming up.
Balthazar 228. They're talking about open borders and stuff in the chat. Balthazar says, "I want
open borders." Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Balthazar says, "I want open borders. Screw Barnes and Noble."
Do you know I used to love Borders, the bookstore? Like they may not know what that is. Borders was a bookstore.
Are you telling me or them?
No, I'm saying them. They may not know what it is.
I know what Borders is.
I used to love Borders. I used to go there and just kind of work.
David Kapoor, thank you for the super chat. He did not leave a comment from what I could see.
All right, so I want to go to the next one. I've been chomping at the bit to get to this. So Donald Trump.
Good old Donald.
Good old Trump.
Oh, sorry.
Trump doesn't like people criticizing him. He's not a fan of it at all. He's thin-skinned. And, people have been hitting him on the issues with the border because he's been running camps, American-style concentration camps, not the Nazi-style concentration camps. And I will bring anybody on the show to debate that particular thing.
We're not going there. But he's been running camps.
But he's running his own camps, his own version of American camps, where these congressmen don't want to give him the money necessary for it, and he's incompetent. So, but that means that people are living in pens. They're horrible conditions. I've shown these videos where these guys are packed together. There's a Star Trek episode, the first original series, where Kirk gets to a planet And it's like, I think they're like black and white or something like that. But there's a jarring scene at the very end where you get to see that the person on the planet, why he's behaving this way, and you open the thing and everybody else is just kind of packed in. Like nobody can move anywhere. They're just kind of bumping up each other. There's no room. They're so overpopulated that people have no space to even kind of just move. It was jarring to watch. Like to see that thing at the that's kind of what that looked like. Like when you look at the pins that Trump was having when the ABC News, and it was like the stench, and the fact that they use the term stench kind of gets across how bad that was. This is the richest country on the planet. That should never happen. That should never happen. Hire the judges that are necessary, give the funds that are necessary, do what you need to do. That shouldn't happen.
Steph says, I'm a male. I'm sorry. P.S. Trump is a master level troll. Yeah.
He is.
Steph, I'm sorry.
He is. He is. So Donald Trump comes out with this tweet. And this created the next level of hysteria. Representative Elijah Cummings has been brutal bully, shouting and screaming at the great men and women of Border Patrol about conditions at the southern border, when actually his Baltimore district is far worse and more dangerous. His district is considered the worst in the United States. As proven last week during congressional tour, the border is clean, efficient, and well-run, just very crowded. Cummings' district is a disgusting, rat and rodent-infested mess. If he spent more time in Baltimore, maybe he could help clean up this very dangerous and filthy place. Now, people at this point said that when he said rats, he meant blacks. Now, I didn't see that. I mean, that wasn't my fully impression. I just took it as he talking it was dirty. What did you see from that? I mean, because this is your first time coming into this.
When I read it, or when you read it to me, I didn't see. My first instinct wasn't rats. That's racist. I didn't think that he was saying rats in relation to people at all.
I didn't take that.
I thought rats were literal rodents. Running around on the grass.
I just think
on the ground.
He was trying to say a place is dirty.
Like, yeah.
I mean, you could say that. Yeah, you saying that blacks are dirty in and of itself. I mean, maybe, but I didn't take it as a jump to. Yeah,
I didn't take that as racist. He said some very racist shit, but I don't think that this. I didn't. That wasn't mine. This was oh my god, he's calling people rats. That wasn't mine.
This didn't. There were worse things to me than this. But
rodent infested. It makes me think of New York subway station.
Yeah. Yeah, more so New York and Baltimore. Baltimore's son essentially came out and said, "I'd rather have rats than be a rat." So they didn't take kindly to them, nor should they.
But I didn't see it as a racist.
I didn't see that as racist, but everybody took that as racist, and they went off to the hills with it. Nadler, calling him disgusting and racist, said Trump was trying to draw attention from other matters. I think that's true. He's just trying to change the subject, which is what he usually does, said Nadler, a frequent Trump critic. That's true. I don't like Nadler, but that's true. Cummings responded, "Mr. President, I go home to my district daily. Each morning, I wake up and I go and fight for my neighbors." Let's go to Cummings.
"It's my constitutional duty to conduct oversight of the executive branch, but it is my moral duty to fight for my constituents."
Now, Pelosi Trump continues his attack and starts hitting Pelosi, by the way. "Speaking of failing badly, has anyone seen what's happening to Nancy Pelosi's district in San Francisco?" he tweeted Sunday. "It's not even recognizable lately. Something must be done before it's too late. The Democrats should stop wasting time on this witch hoax and start focusing on our country." He went further, attacking Cummings. Let's see. He's trying to say he was defending himself.
Somebody says Trump was referring to black people. Baltimore hardly has any rats.
Yeah, Baltimore is mostly black, like fully black.
I understand that, but my thing, I mean, he's...
Wait, let's go to the second point first,
okay.
and then we'll get into it. "Someone please explain Nancy Pelosi, who was recently called racist," she was, by the way, "by her own party, that there is nothing wrong with bringing up the very obvious fact that Congressman Cummings has done a very poor job for his district and the city of Baltimore." He added, "Democrats always play the race card when in fact they have done so little for the nation's great African American people. Elijah Cummings has failed badly." So now let's talk about the tweet for a moment. What's in Trump's mind? I don't know. Do I think Trump is racist? Yes, I think Trump's racist. But I've said that for like a year. So it doesn't shock me that racist people say racist stuff. Was this racist, though? Or was it just, it's like, you're talking about us when your place is full of rats. But that doesn't mean, how can I say this? That doesn't necessarily mean blacks. It just means Trump didn't care about whether they were rats or not. He was attacking the area.
Yeah, it's like him dramatizing and saying, like, oh, that house looks run down. Oh, it's rat infested.
That house was rat
and
infested.
roach infested.
And it's like, it's not really
rat
infested.
But, it might be a bad, kind of crappy place.
Yeah.
But I didn't take when I first saw it until someone specifically pointed out.
I didn't think of it
or
that way
indicated
either.
that it was racist or related to black people. I didn't see that personally.
I suppose I can see it both ways. It depends on what's in his head.
I think about I don't know.
When I think
honestly, about rats, I think of politicians.
I think politicians too.
That was my first response of anything when you're talking about people.
But it doesn't shock me that he would say, you're in a rat infested neighborhood. But I didn't think it. But that doesn't mean that he's saying it's because they're black. It does mean that this kind of poverty attack. I don't know. I guess you can see it in another way. The problem is the media has run with this when I don't know if it's... they run with this and call it racist. The problem is you can't call everything racist. And Donald Trump argument here is like, you guys are calling everything racist and, you guys are calling this racist. I think there's a segment of the population, whites, that would say he's right. Now, not because the place is full of rats, more so he's looking at it as, I don't know. I in my conversations with whites, they tend to identify with other whites and saying not liking to be called racist, so they give people the benefit of the doubt on racist stuff. As an African American, I looked at this and didn't immediately see racism in this. I just saw him being Donald Trump, if that makes sense. And mind you, I'm somebody who considers Trump to be racist. Saying that the place is filthy just seems like an attack to say that your place is dirty.
Molly G says, Trump, Freudian slip. Trump said something kind of accurate. My city that I love is unrecognizable because of gentrification. Molly G.
In San Francisco, she's in San Francisco.
That's what her tweet says.
Because Trump was talking about Pelosi, and Pelosi was in San Francisco. Look, this is not a rah-rah for Trump. And I got to be honest, I don't know if... I think Trump is racist. So when Trump says stuff and people are like, he's saying and he's being racist, that doesn't shock me. It's kind of like racist people say racist stuff. But these are the tweets. These are the two tweets. And the media flips out. This is CNN. This is CNN. Somebody used the term, what was it? Buck breaking. They use the term buck breaking. I don't like that term because that term is extremely racial. But somebody says, you guys need to see this. This is so powerful. This is not a powerful video. This is a weak video. This is a grown man getting on television and crying. That's what this is. Take out everything else away from it. It is an African American who sees Trump's tweets and breaks down on television crying because the president put out certain tweets that stirred him.
Had rats and rodents.
Look, I've done videos, I think, where I was slightly buzzed and it hit my heart center. And I think I was talking about, ironically, I think I was talking about Israel and Palestine at one point, where it bothered me, because I started to identify with the people who were there in the video.
Wait. Before you go into this whole...
My point is this. I didn't cry
in the video. I don't think you can cry.
Oh, I could cry.
This isn't a good comparison.
This is a grown man on television crying.
Yeah, I know that, but there are some men who cry
on television
in instances
for tweets
that I don't think that you have tweets. Cried.
We're talking specifically for this. Did you feel like you were going to cry with these tweets?
I didn't feel anything about the tweets personally.
All right. So when I'm saying that this grown man gets on television and weeps over these tweets, I'm saying it looks weak. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if Martin Luther King did this, there would be no Martin Luther King. I'm saying that...
Are you going to watch it?
You're pushing back against what you consider to be somebody who's overtly... In this guy's head, Trump is overtly racist and vicious and everything else. He's like, oh. And you deal with that by crying? Call me wrong, but, just
This
saying.
morning, the president attacked another member of Congress on Twitter. This time it's House Oversight Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings. He wrote this: Cummings' district is a disgusting, rat and rodent infested mess. If he spent more time in Baltimore, maybe he could help clean up this very dangerous and filthy place. No human being.
And by the way, it's disgusting comments. Like either way,
would want to
so
live there.
Don't misunderstand.
Wait, that's the part that you didn't read earlier that I said. The rest of the tweet,
Okay.
he says no human would want to live there.
Oh, okay, I read that part. I'm just saying, look,
Okay.
it's a disgusting tweet either way. So don't misunderstand me. I don't want that to be unclear. But his reaction just seems so overblown.
Infested. That's usually reserved for reps. This morning, the president attacked another member of Congress on Twitter. This time it's House Oversight Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings. He wrote this: Cummings' district is a disgusting, rat and rodent infested mess. If he spent more time in Baltimore, maybe he could help clean up this very dangerous and filthy place. No human being would want to live there. Infested. That's usually reserved for references to rodents and insects.
So the last part is no human being will want to live there. But that doesn't really change the tweet, does it? Oh, okay. Let me finish.
But we've seen the president invoke infestation to criticize lawmakers before. You see a pattern here? Just 2 weeks ago, President Trump attacked 4 minority congresswomen. Why don't they go back to the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Reminder, 3 of them were born here. All of them are American. Infested,
That was racist.
he says.
That I
A week
agree with
before
him.
his inauguration, January 2017. Congressman John Lewis should spend more time on fixing and helping his district, which is in horrible shape and falling apart, not to mention crime infested. Donald Trump has tweeted more than 43,000 times. He's insulted thousands of people, many different types of people. But when he tweets about infestation, it's about black and brown people. September 2014, at the height of an urgent health emergency, why are we sending thousands of ill-trained soldiers into Ebola-infested areas of Africa? Bring the plague to the U.S.?
Trump
Obama
is racist.
so stupid.
Is he shocked
Infested,
by
he said.
this? Racist people say racist
There's a
things.
revolution going on in California. So many sanctuary areas want out of this ridiculous crime-infested and breeding concept. Infested, he says. The president says about Congressman Cummings' district,
He's working himself up.
I was about to say
He's
the
working
same
himself
thing.
up.
I was about to say he is working himself up
no
into a
human
frenzy.
would want to live there. You know who did, Mr. President? I did.
Did you know?
From the day I was brought home from the hospital to the day I left for college. And a lot of people I care about still do. There are challenges, no doubt. But people are proud of their community. I don't want to sound self-righteous.
That's not what you sound.
sound
People
weak.
get up and go to work there. They care for their families there. They love their children who pledge allegiance to the flag, just like people who live in districts of congressmen who support you, sir. They are Americans too. We'll be right back.
That just seems overblown.
Somebody said this guy's an actor. Somebody said he should be fired.
That seems massively overblown.
Oh man.
Look, I understand. Can you deliver that
That's
in a
the
way?
first time that I watched that.
I'm asking, can that be delivered in a way that doesn't have the guy crying at the end, but still powerful?
Now, I will say,
I think you can deliver that
I think
without
you can.
weeping.
I don't think that you should be weeping over Trump tweeting.
Me either.
Period. Like you would say, full stop.
Full stop.
Like in response to a tweet.
One of my brothers on YouTube, on Facebook, he says, buck breaking. He says CNN got this guy on and have a buck breaking. Now, for those of you who don't know, buck breaking, he's using this term to say an African-American man being broken and crying on television, looking weak. That was his point in using the term buck breaking. I wasn't going to use that term. I just looked at it as a man crying over a tweet.
Somebody said, bro, no crying, my guy. Elephants on Coke says, so I can't tell if this was fake or genuine. Trudy says, I think he's sincere but stupid.
I think he's sincere too. I don't think he's lying.
And someone said, Why is the garden gnome said go back to acting?
But that's worse, right?
That was
That's
clearly
sincere. That's worse.
That was clearly crocodile tears.
Come on, wait. Let's see it again.
I
Let's see it again. Let's see it
no,
again.
let's not watch
Let's
it
see it again. I
again.
want to see it again. I want to see it
This
again.
morning,
At least
the
just see it.
president-
I want to see what we
And
worked
somebody
up.
says,
Just when he gets worked up.
I think that's
But
the
when he
worst
tweets
part
about
is because he
infestation,
pauses too.
It's about black
He's
and brown.
consoling himself.
Clearly,
September 2014.
I can make
at the
myself
height
cry
of
if
an
y'all give me a
election
couple
going on
minutes.
in
Wait. He's
California,
consoling himself for the moment.
the president says about
So right here.
Congressman Cummings' district.
That's my district, sir. I need a knife. Let's stab myself in the foot.
That no human would want to live there. You know who did, Mr. President? I did. From the day I was brought home from the hospital to the day I left
now
the college.
to be clear, I don't see any tears.
A lot of people I care
He's-
about still
he's-
I don't
do.
see tears.
There are
He's
challenges,
crying.
no
He's
doubt.
about to cry.
He's about to cry.
And he's consoling himself. I can definitely he's consoling himself or working himself up. I don't know which one it is. But he's doing one. Neither should be done in this moment.
Daedalus Stream, thank you. He says this was obviously a posture. Genuine crying can be strong when you cry for others, but it's weak if you cry for yourself.
It's a week when you cry for
Monica G
yourself.
says this dude thinks he'll get some journalism award for this. Edward Klein says how embarrassing.
You know what? I mean,
He
my
pulled
show. I have a
Kamala
bunch
Harris.
of. You guys are a bunch of cynical SOBs. The funny is that you guys are on my channel, so you guys are kind of similar to me on this. But there are people out there who put it as like, this is a powerful thing. You should watch this. And there are people who are like, this is so powerful. You must. And it's like, for any Trump supporter who wants to, And I'm like, no, this is not the video to show Trump supporters. This guy, I can't tell if he's acting. I can't tell if he planned this. It looks like he's trying to work himself up. I don't know if he's trying to console himself or
someone
if
said
he's trying to work
it's
himself to
home for
cry.
him because that's where he grew up. So he's like, you're talking about my hometown, man. Like, we fucking people.
If
and you're
somebody
referring to
said
us
Richmond
fucking
was
rodents.
full of rats, if Trump came out, say Elijah Cummings was from Richmond, Virginia, and Trump comes out and says, yeah, you need to go fix that crime-infested Richmond, Virginia or something, or rat-infested Richmond, Virginia, something like that. Now, I wouldn't take it immediately that he was talking about African Americans, even though there are more blacks in Richmond, I would imagine, than whites. But even if I did, do I cry over that?
I don't know of anything that someone could tweet that would bring me to tears
Like that.
on TV.
Like that. On TV, when 9/11 happened, Jon Stewart got on TV and cried. I kind of got that. You know what I mean? I don't think he should have because
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that wasn't in response to a tweet.
right. No. I guess
That
that's
wasn't
my
in
point.
response to somebody saying
You
bad
missed my
things
point.
about where you live.
My point was thousands of people died in New York. It hit him hard.
I can understand that.
I get that. Donald Trump comes out and is tweeting bad things to Elijah Cummings, and this guy comes out and cries on TV because of it. I don't think that's strong. Honestly, I don't think that's strong. I don't think that's not strength. I'm sorry.
Elephant said that he does think Jon Stewart was genuine.
Yeah,
I like
Jon Stewart was genuine.
So, I think
Yeah. I mean, Jon Stewart has been still fighting for the 9/11 stuff. Even today, he stopped doing the TV thing and still came back to do the 9/11 stuff. So yeah, it hit him. He was genuine. And maybe this guy's being genuine. I mean, I don't
Craig
know.
Robb says, I think Maddow cried when Trump got elected.
She did. That was genuine too. Oh, the Mueller thing. She cried when Mueller came back. When Mueller didn't find the Trump and
Someone said
Russia.
there's too much crying on the left. Uncle Brother, thank you for the super chat. He says, and this is off topic, so we'll get back.
Go for it.
He says, so your Black Box Picard teaser clip was classic. I'm sold. I'm ready to be a paid subscriber. At what level can I join so I can submit my show idea? You don't have to join for that.
Just $1. I mean,
Also, we did get, just to be clear, you can send them through email. But if you are talking about supporting the channel, if you are a patron to the Progressive Soapbox or to him in general, we have people who submit Black Box topics
all
there.
the time. Yeah.
So if you are a patron, I mean, if you're genuinely asking about where to submit it, you can just send an email.
Just an email.
But in regards to supporting and sending a topic through that. If you're on Patreon, then you can send your black box comments through there.
Pretty much. Patreon, email, all that stuff.
And thank you. I did the editing for the teaser. I was pretty impressed with that, even though it didn't get a lot of views on this channel.
Well,
people were like,
didn't do the copyright. I mean, they hit it. They dinged it for copyright.
Oh, yes. And last week, just as an update, because last week, if you haven't seen the full video from the patron appreciation, it is because
there's a copyright
YouTube strucketh it down.
Twice.
They said that because we played the Star Trek clip, because you guys were talking about Star Trek in the chat, and so I brought it up, and he had his geek out moment, and he was screaming, he assaulted me on camera, and so they hit it, and so they blocked it.
They blocked that video.
Across the globe, no one could watch it.
Twice, and if I'm not mistaken, even 3 times, because I kept trying to put the video. They said, this clip can't be played. I said, fine, so I cut that part out. And then they put it back up, then they said, this clip couldn't be played. I said, motherfucker, you just told me the other part. They kept dinging the video.
So, but we did I put a teaser up to try to get people to come over to the black box.
Did you?
Yes, I did. It was just a little snippet that started with you geeking out.
Oh, I saw that.
And me saying, oh, shit, because you were about to go full-on Trekkie, mindless, crazy mode.
I would love to do book club for Star Trek videos. It's not a book club at that point. It's just following the series. But I don't know how to do that because we would have to... Like, I can't watch it with my audience because they would ding me for watching it with the audience.
Right, which is what happened last time.
I suppose we can watch the video and then talk about it.
But check out, do you have the link to the Black Box?
It's at the bottom.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Check out the Black Box channel if you have not. It is Jamal's secondary, the OBS. Less active channel. Wait, let me finish what I'm saying.
Cut.
And I did cut the video, or the segment, talking about the Picard trailer. So that is, the full segment is out on the Black Box. So if you want to see him go full on out, I added in some clips and stuff like that. It should not be struck down.
There's an OBS video
so
too.
Check that out.
And he said there
is right. Someone asked,
that one hasn't been finished. That one hasn't been cut yet.
Okay, so someone asked when there was going to be one up on the Black Box. Is it live on the Black Box?
No, a teaser is on this channel. Well, I need you to do a teaser.
Okay.
For that video.
So the OBE video will be out shortly on the Black Box. Balthazar 228, back to the crying man topic. Balthazar says Anna cried when she realized she wasn't a journalist.
Oh, that's wrong.
Jay Scott, that's inappropriate.
Burn.
He says submit Black Box suggestions to Pornhub. Thanks for that, man. I don't
Black
know.
Box the Pornhub. Oh. Actually.
Oh my goodness, Gardenome, can you please unsubscribe to me, please?
What happened?
Gardenome subscribe to my channel on YouTube because you have me listed.
What do you mean? Yeah,
and I've been doing some videos lately, and he says he saw my video.
Yeah, I've used my video. Why wouldn't I? You're my wife.
That down. Well, it's not. But
I have
thank you,
infinite support for my wife.
I did a review for that.
Infinite support in all things.
Everything.
When we're gambling, and I'm like, here's $50. Whatever you're playing it on, I'm playing a ton of money on. Infinite. Oh, by the way, we won a ton of money doing that. Just saying. I think we won like $600 today.
There's a lot of people commenting about random shit that they cry about.
Look, it's not... I have no issue with people crying. I got into a big back and forth with one of my subscribers yesterday. I don't have an issue with people crying under normal circumstances. All sorts of things need to take place. People sometimes need to purge. Sometimes, it makes them feel better.
But you yourself, to be clear, cannot cry.
I can cry. When my mom told me she had cancer, one single tear burst from my eye.
And there is a rumor being spread that he cried on our wedding day. That is false. It was sweat.
It was sweat. It was
hot outside.
It was like 100 degrees outside in that wedding. And I think there's a picture of me doing like this. And it's one of those political
pictures. My mom is like, oh, he's crying. And I was like, he can't cry.
It's that political picture. It's like if somebody, like you're at the airport and a small Asian man comes and pushes your shirt for you because you're trying to get your jacket on. Asian man? Well, it's like, say for instance, I'm putting my sweater up. And a guy, he's standing beside me. He's like, a small Asian guy. He helps me.
That's racist.
And then there's a video comes out that says, "Who is this guy that's helping Jamal with his shirt?" And it's like, is this one of his? And it's like, motherfucker. It's that time when they can use video sometimes to screw with the person. There's an episode of Boss like that where the governor is in, let's say, like Florida or something. He shouldn't be in Florida, but he's in Florida. And there's a small Asian guy who comes up and he
Stop
helps him.
saying Asian
It
guy.
is. It's in Boss. It's a small Asian guy who helps him with his shirt, and he goes and a video comes out of the governor and says, "Who is this man helping the governor with his clothing?" And they ask the governor, and the governor can't answer because the governor is in Florida doing something illegal. And it is easier for the governor to pretend to be gay and just not answer as opposed to the governor answering and getting himself locked up. It is awesome because they continuously ask the governor, "Why were you in Florida? Why were you in Florida? Why were you in Florida?"
Okay, wait.
You know who's asking the question? The mayor. Because the mayor was sending people out there to ask the governor that question because the governor couldn't answer that question. Politics is amazing. Politics is amazing.
While we're completely off topic, Magazog failure. He says Jamarl is the only person I've seen since Prohibition wearing a fedora that doesn't make a cheap fedora hat look bad. I will have you know,
this
Maga,
hat was expensive. Yeah, this hat wasn't cheap. The other hat is. This was not.
He got suckered into buying that.
Yeah, I fucked up with this by accident. That's what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the shit out of this.
Darren O'Levy says he's subscribed to my YouTube as well. You poor unfortunate soul.
My mom was at the hospital getting her procedure done, and when she was getting the procedure done, she was getting they were doing the work, and I wanted to get a video or two in, but I forgot my hat when we were in the car, and so I go to this. It's like, what do they call it? It's like a antique shop. It's not antiques. What do they call it? It's a very specific name for it. It's like
I know what you're
costume,
talking about. I can't think
so
of it.
forth. It's like costume, antiques, those type of things. And I see the fedora. I asked if she has it. She says yes. Normally these places. And I was like, okay, let me try that one. That one fits. I was like, all right. And I see the price tag says $5. We're in. I take it to the thing. She says $40. My mouth is. I was like, whoa. This hat says $4. Oh yeah, they really need to change those price tags. It's really
Now, to be clear, the reason that you had to have a hat was because you wanted to do some live streams while your mom was having surgery. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And you cannot within yourself do a video on the Progressive Soapbox without your hat on.
Well, it's your shtick at that point. It's just kind of your thing. In fact, if you look at this, I mean, even the logo.
If no one gets the fedora better than I do.
Even the logo has a hat.
Better than I do. No one gets the fedora better than I do.
She got a tattoo of a fedora.
I wasn't going to tell anybody that.
It's okay. You're my wife.
Yeah. Yeah, Garden Gnome said he subscribed when I was going to do travel videos. Don't put my business out there, Garden Gnome. Balthazar 228 says Black Box was an awesome band. Everybody. Is that the song?
Everybody. That's it.
They're talking about Area 51 thing. When is that going to happen?
So that guy,
that's sometime in September.
So it's funny. What's his name? This intelligence services comes out and says, "We will shoot you. We will murder you. Don't test us." The government doesn't think it's funny. That's not a quote, but they didn't think that was funny.
They're like,
they were fucking around. Yeah, they were like, we're not fucking around. They were very clear that we will injure people. Don't fuck with us. That's almost a quote. That's paraphrasing, but that's almost a quote. But the guy who was going to do it, he said, I was fucking around at first. Like, he was like, nobody could even find him.
No, when you look at the original post, he created a Facebook event. And when they put the part where it says like the name of the creator, it says something like bored fucking around so and so and so and so.
But it's such a good idea because your thought is he can't kill us all. Like, are you really gonna have a massacre if you have 100,000 people just what do they call it? Naruto running, where they have the arms out behind their backs just kind of running. Like if you have 100,000 people doing that, that could be a yearly event. Can they get you all? And if they do kill 100 of you. That would be.
If you all keep running, they can kill you all.
If they kill 50 people, what do you think is going to take place? That would be a massive outcry. You can get them aliens. You can get them. I mean, you have to have enough of you, though. It needs to be like a wave. Because look, regardless of what they tell you, they're not going to kill all of you. They may only kill the first few of you. And maybe the first wave of you. But at a certain point, it's going to be like, whoa, that looks really bad that they've just murdered a lot of people running to get them aliens.
Somebody said, I'd love if some crazy Americans stormed Area 51.
That would be... I don't know
That
why
would
they
be-
wouldn't. Now, I don't want to be the first person in that line. I'm gonna tell you that. But the fifth wave, yeah, I'll do that shit. I'll be in the fifth wave.
I will be on the sidelines watching that shit.
But they can't kill you all. And I would even argue if you're videotaping, like if there's like 100 videotapes and there's like drones in the sky and you have just people just hauling ass.
Somebody said they've been practicing taking out the legs on dummies. It's gonna be yeah. People are talking about my channel. No, honestly, no. There's nothing there. So the things that are coming up are not going to be political related whatsoever. So that's probably not something.
Nothing to do with politics.
You guys want to subscribe to, but I appreciate that. Because some people are saying they did, and yeah, no. Yeah, yeah. But thank you.
All right. Is there anything else?
I don't think so.
We hit our list.
Somebody said do some Zumba videos. Fuck that, man.
Zumba.
What was I gonna say? Oh, they were talking about
Zumba
your
videos.
hat is gonna go away, like something I forgot. Yeah, I found somewhere so I can get a hat so we can be twinning. Garden Gnome earlier said do it
that's
sometimes
necessary.
because I switch my style up. I guess he's talking about how my hair is different sometimes.
Oh.
I am Siler. Screw you, man. He said he's gonna troll my channel. If you're gonna subscribe, troll on. No,
Well,
I'm
the problem
just
is you don't do it live, so it's not.
Yeah, that's
same.
true. I don't do live videos. I don't have subscribers. Most of the time when I put videos out, it's just for something that like I can refer back to.
Senator Gravel, if you are not subscribed to his Twitter thing, oh God, you are
You should
missing
be.
out. He is hilarious. Like he trolls like nobody's business. This is a new video that's coming out on Prime. It looks good, right?
Right.
It's like superhero
Distracted much? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, Gravel, man. Gravel has been trolling like nobody's business. Excuse me. One point about the election. It's not just about policy. The reason why Joe Biden is leading has nothing to do with policy. It has everything to do with electability. Joe Biden is going to live and die based on this notion of whether or not he could beat Trump, at least in the context of the Democratic Party. The moment that the electability argument deflates, Joe Biden will shrivel up like a tiny, tiny, untouched, unloved, progressive voice penis. That's what would happen.
Too far, man. Joel Sass says left media victim power level over 9,000. What? Ramona Lawson, thank you.
I gotta be honest. The Naruto run thing is the funniest thing in the world to me. I laugh every time I think of that. Oh wow, she is glamming like nobody's business. That's Bernie Sanders' campaign person.
Okay.
Well, he's gotten a lot of African Americans because he understood last time, unlike Biden who takes it for granted. Excuse me. There was something else.
All right, are we having real conversations now? Because I thought we were just kind of messing around.
We were just messing around.
Okay. Your mom's on here.
All right.
Say hi to your mama.
I think that's everything. Hello, Mama. All right. I mean, unless there's something else.
Nope.
Look,
Well,
guys,
super chat.
just so we're very
Elephants
clear.
on Coke, we got it. I got you. I'm going to look it up when we finish.
Is this Rashid Talab? Yeah.
All right, let's go.
If you and I were together,
If what?
if you and I weren't like married and we weren't together and I didn't know who you were,
What?
just saying.
Oh.
What in the world? Okay.
This is how I get sucked into stuff on the internet. Like I click on something and then you're like, ooh, a polar bear in a
Vat of
bath
ice.
of ice. I mean, he's a polar bear, so I get
He
it.
is wowing out. He's like a big dog.
I like elephants because they're like big puppies.
Yeah, he's like a big dog. Now, I was looking at, where was it? Latin American dictators backed by the United States. When they tell you that we care about democracies. Batista, Beretta, Castelo Branca. You see the names. And anybody who's watched this channel knows that the United States has backed dictators all throughout the United States.
Yeah.
All throughout South America. So that's, again, for my channel, that's just kind of like well known.
I'm way hotter than her. Screw that, man. Oh, you said if you didn't know who I was.
Yeah, if I didn't know who you were.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh, and it's not because she's hot. It's that I'm gonna impeach this president. I thought that was so badass. She was like, I'm gonna impeach this motherfucker. I was like, whoa. And this was the one who got dragged out.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, she gets dragged out before she gets into
She's like,
Congress.
you people are animals.
Yeah, you people are animals. Like she's just flipping out. Yeah. All right. I guess this is it.
Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us.
When the world
She said, "Oh, right. She's talking about BDS
and the Jew or the Jewish state another way. There's only one word for it: anti-Semitism. Let us call out the BDS movement for what it is." And I think one of the questions that Senator Schumer and other supporters of Israel might have is, why focus on just Israel? Why not also call for sanctions against other countries where you might have issues such as Egypt or Pakistan or Saudi Arabia?
Oh, absolutely. And I think if there was an economic boycott movement around Saudi Arabia, I'd be the first to sign up for it.
Absolutely.
I can tell you they're all around college campuses.
Oh, and also, if we were giving, these guys billions and billions of dollars, and if we were, protecting them for UN resolutions, and if all of that stuff was the case, then yeah, but that's not what we are, Tapper.
There are Jews, Muslims, Hindus, all different kinds of backgrounds who are pushing back against racist policies.
Are they outside?
In Israel
That's racist. They couldn't get her inside a fucking studio?
The human
High
rights
outside.
violations,
She's Palestinian American,
children
babe.
being
They don't
detained. The fact that my grandmother, who lives in the West Bank right now, does not have equality. She doesn't have freedom of travel. She is someone that right now under occupation is feeling less than. And I grew up in the most blackest, beautiful city in the country, where every corner in Detroit here, you will see a reminiscence of the civil rights.
Oh, but are you going to talk shit about her if she cries?
I have. That's why somebody was getting on me on Twitter because I said, why is she crying?
But people want to dismiss it because they're trying to say it's anti-Semitism. That's the way they're trying to discredit the fact that we all know under Netanyahu's regime, human rights violations have gotten worse. And we need to be able to use...
Why not boycott Egypt?
I would boycott Egypt, of course.
But you keep
I'm
saying
very critical.
You would boycott
let me
Saudi
tell
Arabia, you would boycott Egypt, but you're not.
Right now, there is not a bill or...
Jake Tapper is trying to protect Israel.
Is that the fucking bill that we're talking about right now? Is there a bill to boycott Egypt? I'm
There's
down.
no bill to boycott Israel.
That's what I'm saying.
Oppose any sort of oppression, of freedom of speech, of First Amendment right in this country. It's a slippery slope, Jake, because tomorrow, if folks want to, boycott Saudi Arabia and there's a movement and it's got a name, they're going to go ahead and pass a resolution saying you don't have freedom of speech, you don't have a right to First Amendment. You can't be double standard. But of course, I would oppose any kind of oppression of that sort, of freedom of dismissing somebody's right, First Amendment right. And we have cases around the country from teachers who don't even know what's going on in Israel, who do not feel like they should wipe away their First Amendment right to be able to speak out through economic boycott.
I know you want to talk about Michigan, so just let's last question on this. Do you think the Jewish people have the right to a state in the area where Israel exists now?
Look, I truly believe the state of Israel exists, correct? But understand,
Elephants
does it
don't coexist.
exist?
Tapper doesn't even care. He's just pushing an agenda.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He's sifting through his notes. He doesn't really care about a response. He's just throwing some shit out here to hit the topics.
Tapper is just doing his job. I'm just here to do a job, man. I'm just reading stuff off my teleprompter. That's all I'm here to do. They're stenographers. That's all he is. Like, look, when you see me do this, I'm usually doing something that I'm engaged. I care. It's not... There's very few items that I bring up that I don't care about, because otherwise, why would I even be talking about it? Tapper is just kind of... I like the fact that she's strong on this, because she's a Palestinian American, and for the first time, we actually get a point of view from somebody from Palestine. So this is a shocking thing in American politics where we finally get this point. But no, Tapper doesn't seem to be all that engaged and care. And her point is, we are depriving Palestinians through an occupation of their own right to exist. And you are going after a nonviolent protest group. And he's like, well, why was you going on Egypt? If there was a protest group against Egypt, we would protest Egypt. I mean, we're not for any kind of subjugation. But right now, we're talking about a violent occupation of Palestine that the Israeli government is taking place, that the United States government has been holding them by the hand as they do this. So as a U.S. representative or person, yes, I'm going to bitch and moan about this. And yeah, I'm going to be against any bill that tries to undermine or even protest my right to protest. Go, girl.
Of not really moving forward in a peaceful resolution. We're never going to have peace. I truly believe if separate but equal is the way they want to go. And I can tell you, I learned that from my African-American teachers in Detroit public schools who showed me what the pain of oppression looks like. We're not going to have peace if we don't understand that we are dehumanizing Palestinians every single day when we choose Israel over their rights.
But yes or no, does Israel have a right to exist?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
But just like Palestinians have a right to exist,
That's right.
Palestinians also have a right to human rights. We can't say one or the other. We have to say it in the same breath, or we're not going to actually have a peaceful resolution.
See, the problem here is that the moment that you say, well, wait a minute, I think Palestinians deserve rights, then they say, oh, you're being anti-Semitic. That's nonsense. And whether they realize it or not, that hurts Jews. Like, that hurts Israelis, because that creates this weird conflation between the two things. No, I don't want, I have no issue with the state of Israel existing. By the same token, if the state of Israel has a problem with Palestinians existing, and that seems to be the persistent problem, and yet the only thing that they ever talk about is, oh, we need to protect Israel, we need to be in association with Israel. They are literally passing laws all throughout the United States as if Israel is the 51st state. And by the way, you can protest other states, but apparently you can't protest Israel. That's astonishing. That's astonishing. So shout out to, what's her name? I'm glad she was able to speak her piece on this, because she didn't vote for this. Her, Ilhan, or AOC.
Right.
Shout out to them. It was 17 people. Barbara Lee was another one. Barbara Lee is voting for Kamala Harris. She's not perfect, but she's done really good work in regards. She was the one who was, after 9/11, was saying, this is going to be fraught with problems, and this is going to be horrible for the next several years if we go through with this invasion. Barbara Lee was right. She's not perfect, but damn it, she hits her notes when she needs to. Ready?
All right, yeah, I'm done.
Guys, thank you all for showing up. We always enjoy these. We got like 2 hours. Yeah, nearly 2 hours. More than 2 hours. Oh, God, more than 2 hours. All right. Guys, thank you. Somebody put BS. Okay, they're fighting.
I might not be here next week because it's my birthday weekend, so...
Yeah. It's her birthday. She turns 35.
Shh. What the?
What? It's a secret?
I don't know if I wanted to share that with everybody.
Oh, it's okay. You're on air. I mean, they can always look it up on Facebook and Google and.
They can't look. They can't find my age on Google, can they?
Yep. They probably could even put your name in and find your age, let alone.
They don't know my name.
I was looking for.
That's what
I had a friend of mine,
all those
and I hadn't seen him in a while. I think this was years, and I went looking for him. Do you know I was able to find him by a court document? Like, apparently he had a DUI. It was online. The DUI had access to his address, which allowed access cross-reference to another address in order to track him down. That's freaky. That's scary.
Yay! Hey, Jay Doza says this is the first time we've seen your show. Happy birthday! Subscribing. And now, to be clear, I am not always here. So if you're subscribing if you're subscribing, I'm only here for the weekly contributor appreciation. This is Jamal's channel.
Every so often she comes out and she does the show.
That comes to hang out. Everybody say happy birthday. So thank you. I don't mind him sharing my age.
All right, guys, we're going to end it here. Guys, if you enjoy this content and you find yourself coming back to this channel often, please consider supporting this content through PayPal, Patreon, and I would like to thank all of you for joining us today and everybody that supports the show, man. The show is brought to you by you at this point. YouTube demonetizes. I could give you a house of horrors of the videos that YouTube has demonetized, and it's like Sudan. Sometimes it's, I remember they did one on Sanders. Like, it was something about, Gravel. There was a video I did. It was a campaign ad of Gravel. They demonetized that video from Gravel talking about Biden. Like, it's random at this point. And by the way, it's not just me. If you look at some of the channels I like, World War I, or The Great War, that's what it's called. World War II, that's one of the channels that I like to watch. Again, it gets completely demonetized. He's gotten so bad where he came out with a cat video. Did you see that?
No, I thought we were ending the video. I stopped paying attention.
Well, the guy, the one, Indy Idell, love Indy Idell. I would love for Indy Idell to come on the show. Indy Idell ran World War I, and he's now running the World War II channel. He also has In Between the Great Wars. But Indy Idell comes out and says, Google hates me. And he said there at dinner, at lunch, at breakfast, he says, I'm going to come out and I'm going to do cat videos. Now, everybody thought he was fucking around.
Did he do one?
He did one. He came out, he comes out, and he starts dancing the jig, his wife or girlfriend, I don't know who it is, comes out, starts dancing with him, and they start doing the show and dancing and stuff like that. And his point was, Google demonetizes all our videos, so we're going to do cat videos. He has a cat in a hard hat as the head as a thumbnail. And when you come in, do you know people they downvoted that video almost as much as the upvotes? And it's like, are you serious? You get the guy's point. They're demonetizing everything the guy puts out.
Darren Levy says we need to have a kid so the kid can continue your great work. I don't know if he's going to be a YouTube kid.
I don't know, man.
Read the Streamlabs before we go.
I don't know.
Streamlabs popped up.
A YouTube kid. That kid is going to be
Area
doing
51
meditation.
supports BDS.
Gemini Dragon. First time donating to indie media. Thank you to. Aw, thanks, man.
You, Gemini Dragon.
Oh, it's like popped a cherry. Nice.
Ooh.
What?
Tell your mama. Tell your friends. Monica G, thank you. She says, happy birthday.
My birthday is at the end of August.
Feliz, pronounce that. Cumpleaños.
Feliz cumpleaños.
Cumpleaños. I learned a couple of words to
you
go
have to
to
make it
Costa
roll.
Rica.
Cumpleaños. Okay, that's not right. I'm trying to get my R's rolled so when I go to Britain I can make that shit work and they'll be like, wow, this guy's Scottish.
Keep donating 1 cent and keep them online till they drop. Would Aisha style her hair like Princess Leia?
You've done those. You've done the puffs.
I was going to when we were going to go to that Comic-Con thing.
Yeah.
Or the Galaxy
The Galaxy Con.
But it was too last minute. I would.
I rocked up and stuff
But for
with
what?
my Afro puffs. Yeah, my Afro puffs.
You speak Spanish like gringos. Is that racist?
What? I'm a gringo.
You are a gringo.
I'm a gringo. You know when I went to
They say good try, guys.
when I went to Ecuador, my the guy the what's God, I can't think of his name. The team lead, you know, his wife is from Ecuador. And he says he was gonna, she said, that gringo is in Ecuador by himself. You better watch his ass, you better be careful. And when I was in Israel, I remember, look, you meet nice people everywhere you go. And I remember they always talk about like Jewish grandmothers. Have you ever heard this joke, or like how Jewish grandmothers, like giving advice and stuff like that? You hear like Larry David, or you hear some of these guys make these jokes about like the moms and the grandmothers like giving advice, and they're like caring about the person and they're putting so much attention on the person. I think I was in Jerusalem, and I'm by myself. At this point, I'm 30. I'm traveling by myself, and I'm talking to this woman, just an older woman. And I'm telling her, I said, yeah, I'm going to Nepal after this. And she's like, oh my God, you can't go to Nepal. I've had a nephew who went to Nepal and he got so sick. He couldn't eat the food and he got really ill. It must be really safe when you go to Nepal. And her daughter comes and says, Mom, I think he'll be okay. And she was like, you don't have to keep worrying about him. And at this point, I think it's the sweetest thing in the world that this woman is caring about me, and this woman doesn't know me from anybody. I thought it was awesome.
Athos says, you're like my friend Jill. She says she has to leave, and then 40 minutes later, she's still talking.
Yeah, my time frame is not great.
If this is your first time here, you're in for a lot of that. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah. All right. I want to end this here. Anything else you need to say? Any other tweets? Any other shows that you're thinking about doing for like organizing for Sanders or anything?
There's a Bernie debate party coming up on Tuesday.
I'll be covering that, by the way.
And I will be hosting my first canvassing thing soon. And I feel like that's going to be my next video because people said they wanted to see me.
That'd be cool.
Talking to people. Everything else is kind of
You going to be knocking on doors?
Or we're just like having meetings like, am I going to knock on doors? No, I'm not knocking on doors. It's
where are you
like
going to be
canvassing out at events. So like they have like art events and stuff like that, festivals and stuff. So we'll go up to talk to people. Like I'll be wearing like my Bernie shirt and I'll be like, hey, are you voting? Are you voting? You like Bernie?
That's
you
what
burning? Feeling the burn? It's hot out here. Are you burning?
And so you're going to have to be prepared for various responses that people give you. Like, because you're not just going to go up and talk. You're going to practice the responses, right? Like, you don't want to be flat-footed.
If I say yes, are you going to try to do one right now?
I don't know.
Then no, I'm not going to promise. I'm not going to practice.
You're just going to go impromptu and just...
I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to fucking go with it.
And just see what happens.
Yeah.
So you're just going to walk up to people.
Be more honest.
You're just going to be walking up and be like, hey, you voting?
I'm going to be like, hey, how you feel about Bernie Sanders?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
I'm thinking
Who
Kamala
you
Harris.
like? Oh, that bitch?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
What
do you like about Kamala?
Well, she's African American. I like that.
She's what?
She's what? Huh?
She's what? Oh, we need to go.
I like that she doesn't, I like that she didn't accept being African American at one point and now accepts it now. I like the duplicity in it. It tells me she can go far in politics.
Because she's complicated. You like a complex woman?
No. I like a duplicitous woman.
All right. Well, you have fun. Enjoy the rest of the day.
I don't think Bernie Sanders is duplicitous enough to be president.
Wear sunscreen.
He has to be able to, Well, you don't need sunscreen. You're black. You're talking black people.
Black people need sunscreen. That is a lie. Black people can be harmed by the rays of the sun as well.
Depends on how dark and how hot.
That's not true. Your melanin is not going to completely...
I don't think it's a shield per se, but it's more of a shield than if you had none. So, Trump supporters, you're going to have to meet them too. Or are you only going to talk to black people?
I'm only...
You going to be racist about it? How are you going to do it?
I don't know. I'm going to target people that look like hippie-ish and look like they care about real issues.
So you're going to target people who already voted for Sanders?
Yeah. That's the easy.
You gotta.
I'm trying to get volunteers so they can go out.
Oh, I see. So, but you're not at the voting stage yet. You're at the, I'm trying to bring people in stage.
Right.
I'm curious about the voting stage. When you're going out and you're trying to...
And in our last meeting, they said, don't have arguments with people.
Don't
argue. And it was so funny because I was reading that out because that was my first organizing meeting. That was my meeting. And so I was reading the volunteer principles for the Bernie Sanders people. Or you weren't there because you ditched us. I forgot.
Yeah.
So I was reading the volunteer principles, and one of the things was I do not argue my point. And I was like, ha! And I kind of looked at the lady because I was like, my husband would say otherwise.
So if the guy comes back and says, you say, hey, look, I'm going for Sanders. Here's my, thing. And he says, yeah, the Democratic Party are trying to get open borders. I don't want anything to do with those open borders. I like Sanders' economic plan, but those open borders, I'm not for it.
Did Bernie Sanders say he was for open borders?
No, but the Democratic Party's for it. And he's part of the Democratic Party. When did the Democratic Party say it?
Yeah.
They said it when they were going against Trump, when Hillary Clinton was going against Trump.
That doesn't mean they're for open borders.
What do you mean it doesn't mean they're for open borders? They said they're for open borders.
That's not what they said.
What do you mean? Not to mention Obama is a communist Kenyan.
What the hell? See?
Just saying, you got to deal with those people. Have you seen Jordan's video?
Jordan's at a MAGA.
No.
rally.
Jordan was at the debate party. He was at a debate. Well, he went to the debate but they wouldn't let him in. They wouldn't give him a press pass, and so he just went.
Oh, right. I know what you're talking about.
And he was talking to all sorts of people across the thing. People who were Sanders supporters, Clinton supporters, across the board, Biden supporters. And he would ever so often hit a Trump supporter.
Don Hooligan says, ask questions to redirect. That's kind of my game plan is if people are just saying outlandish things.
Then, okay, so how do you redirect that?
I want to know where you're getting this from.
I watch Fox News.
Ooh.
And I watch the internet. The internet
you watch
tells
the
me.
Internet?
I read the internet.
What are you looking at on the internet?
This conservative site says it right here. You gonna tell me my conservative site's lying to me? I trust my conservative site. What you gonna say?
I'm gonna say take a look at XYZ, which is gonna be another source, or maybe you should look into
mainstream media. They hated Trump. They've said that he was working with the Russians, and it came back being a lie. But I'm supposed to trust them on that? Yeah, hell is hot. It's look.
This is why I'm not going door to door.
I mean, look. Believe it or not, you'd be surprised.
This is why people don't want to do canvassing at all.
It's not easy. I don't think it's easy, but you'd be surprised. Sometimes, if you met Brian.
Yes, Hitflix.
If you know Brian.
Stop putting people's business out on the street.
Well, they don't know who Brian is. That's 1,000 Brian's in this country. Brian
for Family Guy?
No. Brian is a Trump. He's a right-winger. But I don't think he likes Trump any more than he likes anybody else. In his mind, he's a hardcore right-winger, but if you're talking to him, you'd be surprised some of the shit that he says. You'd be like, yeah, if more money was going towards healthcare and everything else, I'd be okay with that. And it's what? It's shocking sometimes, the stuff that comes out when you really have conversations with people, and you're not attacking, you're not, you're more listening, saying, look, if this is what you really want, there is something to be said. You're not going to get everybody. some people you're going to meet are going to be brutally racist. Some people you're going to meet are just nuts, like meaning just they're incompetent. But there are going to be a segment, a percentage that you meet that are going to be, okay, I can talk to these people, and are willing to flip. So, it's not that you're going to get everybody. It's not going to be everything is beautiful and joyous. There are going to be some people who you start off in one Kamala and you end up with, like my mom. My mom has been canvassing for Bernie Sanders.
I know that. I'm the one that got her to do it.
Yeah. She's effective. She is effective.
Now, in case you're interested, because a lot of people give us shit because we're like feeling the burn, hunka burning love. And all that
hell
other
yeah.
stuff.
They can give all the shit they want.
So in the video, I talked about how there's 2 types of canvassing on something called the Burn app. So it's like app.berniesanders.com. But essentially, you can do canvassing where you're going door to door. You go out and you talk to people like in the real world, like people that you don't know. But then there is also something called friend-to-friend canvassing, which is basically like I'm talking to my cousin, I'm talking to my aunt, I'm talking to my neighbor, and I'm getting their information and I'm putting it into the app. That is technically friend-to-friend canvassing. So,
and by the way,
that's what she's doing, because she was like, well, I've been telling this person, and, she's very, very proud of her son. And so, and now that I'm on here too, because that's my second mama, in case y'all didn't know, she's like, yeah, did you see the show? And Aisha was on there, and Aisha's doing the organizing for Sanders. And so she talks to people all the time. And what I told her was the difference between what you're already doing and if you were actually volunteering or do something for
like
Sanders.
A shade of daylight, yeah.
You would just be putting it into the app. That's it. You'd still have the exact same conversation. You would just put it into the app.
I gotta be honest.
She's got more people in hers now than I do in mine.
That app has a lot of potential. I mean, it depends on how, because the goal of the app is not so much contacting people. It's more so to keep a pulse. It's like, when Obama was running, Obama had better polling data than the polling agencies themselves in the various places. So when people were like, oh, it's going to be close, the areas that he needed to win, he already had locked in.
Darren Alevi says, can you get Mama Thomas on the show sometime?
Yeah. No, probably not. Not so much.
No.
Not so much. No. Yeah, doesn't think
probably not.
Yeah. All right. On that note. All right, guys. Look, guys. Thank you all for your support. And I'm probably not going to see you tonight. I probably will see you tomorrow. There's still a slightly ill dog out there. So, thank you all for your support.
Who's hungry? So we gotta go.
Yeah, he's complaining. What time is it? It's 5.
Oh, it is way past.
Yeah, that's why he's out there yelling. Yeah, he's complaining. All right, guys. Thank you all. You have a good one.
Ciao.